welcome to the final video in the SOS Roadtrip to G-Fest 22 miniseries that we've been doing for the past few days. It has been about a week since we got back from G-Fest, and it'll have been a week by the time this gets posted. And I've just been posting the videos that we recorded at the convention and while we were on the trip. So this is the final retrospective podcast for this year and for this G-Fest. So joining me to send out this convention with a bang, I have Adam Noyce.
I'm eating steak.
Okay, that's fine. Dylan McCandless.
I wish I were eating steak.
And Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir.
I said it last year, and I'll say it again. Here we are again, after it's all said and done.
You said again one too many times in that sentence for my liking. You should be ashamed of yourself, Andre.
I'll say it again.
Go fuck yourself,
Here,
Adam.
I'll say it again. Here we are
all.
again for the second time. Again.
Did all your goldfishes die? Why is everybody so somber? Let's perk up.
It's been a weird week.
No, I'm fine. It's just Andres is angry because I don't like Ultraman and CGI.
I've been going through this really weird adjustment period where I went on this trip and we were moving around all the time, and now I'm back to my sedentary lifestyle, and I feel kind of like a tiger in a cage now.
Your sedentary lifestyle.
Kind of like last year.
Yeah, you know.
Where it's like, hey, we're all together now. It's
Yeah, where
awesome.
we were actually in a cage. You guys remember that? We were actually in a cage? I do.
We were in a cage? What?
Oh, you guys don't remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. He drugged you. I remember seeing the
That's because I gave you
videos.
guys those drugs. Oh, shit.
Oh. Oh.
That's a joke. It didn't actually happen.
Yes, it did.
Oh,
Say, does this rag smell weird?
Oh God, those. Okay, so on the way to work today, I was listening to the song, and there's a part where it sounds like the lyrics say she's scraping at the door, but that's not what the lyrics are. But that's what I thought it said at first. And the entire way to work, which is about like a half hour away, on the entire way to work, I could not stop laughing.
or screaming at the door!
Because, yeah, I was like, the entire way to work, and even in work, I was like chuckling because I was singing the song, and every time that song came up, I just kept saying, scraping at the door.
Well, that's weird because,
You're scraping at the door.
we said it so many times when we were on the trip, so many times a day, and for the same reason every time, that it became like this automatic reaction, when a door opens and your dog barks, something just deeply ingrained in our psyche.
At the door.
So whenever somebody went near a door, we were like, screaming at the door!
At the door.
I mean, even when I was at work this past weekend, there was a part where people were screaming or in celebration or whatever. I felt the urge to say that, and I was like, oh wait, no one's gonna get that.
Do you realize how many times I've had to avoid the urge to make a doping group joke?
I don't think I've said that since I got back.
Around my conservative Christian family.
Oh God.
I was about the doping group. I swear I have groped my last
Excuse me, honey, what was that? No, I'm just talking about some doping group.
Scraping at the door.
So,
I'm a gun!
Scraped at my door.
So we have been back for a week, and so aside from all of that, how have you guys been adjusting to life back with normal people?
I went to work like a normal person.
Same.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, because I had this experience with it, and I'll say this because people will be wondering because of the bathroom comic book experience I had last year. I didn't fucking cry this year. I'll have everybody know.
No, instead he just got stoned at 3 in the morning.
Well, yeah, but that had nothing to do with it. No, it felt weird because, we went on the trip for a week, and it almost felt like the whole time we were on the trip, I was so concerned with getting everything done and making sure everything went off as smoothly as possible that I never really got the chance to kind of go, oh, hey, we're going on another road trip to G-Fest.
Uh-huh.
So it never really resonated in my mind until I got back, and I was like, oh shit, I just drove halfway across the country with 3 guys I met on the internet, and we went to a convention entirely devoted to Godzilla. That's pretty fucking cool.
I just can't wrap my mind around the fact that it's almost been a week.
Yeah,
I had this weird fucking moment Saturday night where I was like, Jesus Christ. A week ago, I was in a hotel room in Chicago, drunk off my ass. I couldn't wrap my brain.
Don't remind me of that night. Please.
I couldn't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of time passed really quickly, and it wasn't until after it was over that you kind of realized, oh shit, it's been like a week and a half since this all started. And that's really weird because...
So weird.
So weird.
It was so weird. And it's so weird because we spent so much time building up to it.
Right.
Like, this trip is like one of the biggest things that I, in my case, do every year. It's like one of the major things.
It's like our pilgrimage to Mecca.
Yeah, not even that necessarily. It's just like, it's the big thing I do every year.
Yeah.
So whenever it comes up, I spend a lot of time preparing for it, and, we've only done it once before this, so I didn't really, you don't really have much experience to compare it to. So, I didn't really know how I was going to feel about it the second time out, and it felt, I don't know, it just felt different. It felt kind of like, it just kind of felt like we had done so much stuff, but I wasn't processing it in moment to moment like I did last year.
It's my fault. This experience sucked.
Yeah, it's entirely your fault.
I'm myself now.
Well,
screw you.
Well, the weird thing.
I hate you. No, okay.
Well, the weird thing is, the trip last year, which I expected to be a disaster in some way, went off without a hitch up until the very end, when I was leaving New York, and then shit went bad. But
and shit almost went the same kind of bad this year.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
for some reason, whenever I want to get these fuckers off this godforsaken island, it fucking rains, and it rains really bad.
I've sent you that. I'm not sure if I sent Bill or Dylan that picture where rain was coming from the ceiling at my gate.
You sent it to me.
No, you didn't. You didn't send me that picture.
It was insane. Last year it was such a weird and odd moment though, because I was sitting in the airport like, I kind of wish I didn't have to go home, and then Thor was like, "Fuck you, you're staying here," and I'm like, "Fuck you, Thor, I wanted to go home."
That definitely put the kick in terms of like, all right, Dylan, it's time to go home. Other than that, last year's trip went so well that the whole time this trip is going on, you can't help but think, all right, it can't. Yeah, it's like, all right, last year was fine, but this is the year where
it can't. It can't go as well as it did last year. It just can't. I'm like fucking.
Where you're gonna yell out, he got weed, and then it's gonna be true, and we're gonna get thrown in jail.
Right.
Pretty much.
Like I was watching an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond earlier, where like Deborah was getting onto Ray because he was a pessimist and he couldn't like see the good in anything. Like I kind of.
So it's every episode Everybody Loves Raymond.
Pretty much, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, that's exactly how I was, because I was just like, something's gonna go wrong. I know it. I'm waiting for it. I'm ready. Not really.
Yeah, and it never really. And also, to add insult to injury, I wasn't feeling good the whole time we were on the vacation. I think it was mostly...
you weren't.
I think it was mostly stress-induced, because once I got back, I felt totally fine. I think it was just because I was so concerned for that very reason that you just brought up, Dylan, because I was like, something's going to go wrong, and I'm not going to know what it is until it happens. And then nothing really went wrong. It went off pretty much without a hitch. There were no major setbacks. The biggest concern
nobody
that
got
we ended
shot
up
or stabbed or kidnapped or,
No, though we certainly threatened that several times, with our constant screaming of, "Pull out my guns!"
I'm assuming that none of us came back home with STDs.
I don't know, I've been scratching down there and shit's getting weird. No, I'm kidding.
So,
you know what they say about those hotel blankets?
Yeah, that's my concern.
Or rather, in my case, just a curtain that was like taken off of the window that I slept with, because
you just scrape and you just dangle your ball sack up against the curtains.
Yeah, it's exactly like Tom
Segura said. Because that's the one thing that they don't change.
My balls on the curtain. No, because Dylan and I shared a bed. Oh god!
That was so funny.
So Dylan and I shared a bed this year.
Which, if you have Facebook, you kind of already saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, you saw a picture of what it looks like, the two of us sitting in a bed together. And we were exaggerating it for the picture, but it wasn't much different than what we were
It really wasn't.
The funniest, I don't know if we brought this up on any of the podcasts, but even if we did, I just want to tell it because I just find it so fucking hilarious. So, the first night we were there, we were all exhausted too, but when you get back from a big drive, you don't really want to go to sleep right away because you kind of have traveler's anxiety. Like, I need to walk around for a little bit and realize that I drove all that way for a reason. So we didn't go to bed right away. We watched a little bit of TV, and we'll talk about the in-house TV channel in a second and then get to more of the meat of this podcast. And so we're settling in, and Dylan and I had already worked out we were going to share a bed together. And I'm like, it's not going to be a big deal, despite all the jokes that we make in preparation for it. It's an enormous bed.
We had a clear protocol going on. I immediately told Bill, I was like, listen, you keep your fucking distance unless there's fucking thunder.
And we have to take cover. So we weren't too concerned about, we were going to have some big discovery about our sexuality in the middle of this trip.
Oh, God, but, within 2 seconds of posting that picture, that people are, fucking slash-fictioning this shit. I'm like, Bill...
I know, I read many stories. I found them very erotic.
I was like, Bill, we've started something here.
We started a movement. No, so I'm laying in bed first night, and the first problem I knew was going to be the first problem was... Oh, well, first things first, they didn't give us enough pillows and blankets again. Because the first thing that we did when we got to the room was...
almost as if they don't want that many people in a room.
Who'd have thunk it? So we asked them, hey, can we get some extra pillows and blankets because we're going to have 4 people sleeping in... I don't know if we worded it like that, but we were like, can we get extra pillows and blankets? And they're like, sure, no problem. They come back with what looked like a giant...
What the fuck was up with that room service?
Well, they came back with what looked like a giant, inflatable...
Didn't they bring us some empty pillowcases? And I'm like, this is not what...
Yes, they did. You're right. Yeah, they brought back some empty pillowcases, no pillows, and then 2 really weird, uncomfortable blankets. And we split that up between. Adam was on the pull-out couch, and then you'll see this when you watch the final vlog we did. We showed off all the stuff we bought. I haven't posted that at the time of this recording, though. So when you do watch that, you'll notice the arrangement we had. Dylan and I were in the bed, and then Andres was on the floor. And you did you do the same thing last year, right? Where you put 2 of the cushions from the couch on the floor, and you were like, "This is my bed."
No, last year I tried to sleep on that little thing.
The ottoman. Yeah, you tried to sleep on the ottoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you put the roller chair as extra support for your leg.
Which is kind of what I did at your house this year.
He had to sleep.
Yeah, you did that a little bit.
Didn't you?
May I just say that I think Bill's couch is very comfortable.
I have very comfortable couches, I'm very proud to say.
Yes, that was the one that I slept on was also quite comfortable.
We got those. Though I have to say that the Jew cat's claws were worse than my cat's claws. I can say that.
Yeah, Jasmine was rough.
I can't say that. Our cat's claws are like fucking hypodermic needles. Plus, he's like fucking 20 pounds. So when he pushes off with those fucking things, fucking.
I think the funniest thing that happened.
Cats.
I think the funniest thing happened with the cats this weekend though was just like last year. Simba was hidden the whole time that you guys were at my house.
He didn't fall through a ceiling this time, so.
No, nothing that entertaining really happened. But Simba was staying up in my mom's room the whole time we were there. And then finally, when we got back on Monday night, it's 1:30 in the morning. What time did we get home? It was before 2, right?
Yeah, it was a little before 2 a.m.
He came out then.
So,
where the fuck have you been?
Yeah. So we get back. It's 1:30 in the morning, and Simba decides all of a sudden, hey, I'm not that scared. I'm going to come down, and proceeds to run all over the living room at top speed, chasing Jasmine, and I'm like, Simba, what the fuck are you doing? Because I'm like, of all the times you picked to fucking finally come out of your baby shell, it's now when we're trying to sleep. Because, again, when we got back from the drive, we were fucking done. We were like, that's it, we're all going to sleep, fuck everything, and fuck you. That was how we felt.
Yeah, I was like that with a certain individual that kept asking us to get gasoline in New Jersey.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's like, listen,
shut up! I want to go to bed.
We'll socialize later. We want to go to sleep.
I remember him saying, that kid's already knocked out. That was me lying down. It's like, I would be knocked out, but you keep fucking talking.
I knew you weren't really asleep either. I was trying not to laugh.
Yeah, no, I slept really well that night though. Once all the craziness calmed down, because the night when we actually drove to Chicago, I was bad sleep wise because I tried to sleep on. I was sleeping on this pull out chair that's in my living room, and it's where my grandma sits, and it's not very comfortable. So I slept on that the first night. Second night, couldn't do it, so I decided to go sleep on the hospital bed in my brother's room. And once again, couldn't sleep there because my brother doesn't like air conditioning. He just doesn't like it. He likes natural, whatever the temperature is. So, no air conditioner. I'm laying in there sweating my fucking nuts off, and then on top of that, he had a rough night. He couldn't fall asleep, so I didn't get any sleep. Woke up covered in drenched in sweat. And exhausted, so it's shocking that we didn't die.
So
that day.
I'm trying to sleep that night, and these guys are fucking watching MST3K Virus, and I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to go to bed?
That was the night before we left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, this will be fitting. It's Gamera's 50th anniversary, and we ended up watching half of it. Well, because I left it on after I had gone into my brother's room, because I didn't know if you guys were all asleep, and then I came back in and I turned it off later.
It was just like Monster, where I always fell asleep, maybe a third into the movie that we always watched.
Mm-hmm. So
the first night,
I don't know if I finished telling this story. So when I was laying in bed the first night we were at the hotel, I was like, all right, I sleep on my side. I don't sleep on my back or on my belly. I sleep on my side.
Unfortunately,
so I roll
sleep
over,
the same way.
and I roll over, and there's Dylan, locked eyes at me, and I'm like, I can't fall asleep like this, dude. Roll over, there's Adam, locked eyes at me, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
I'm surrounded by diabetes.
And I told Dylan that the next day. He was like, oh yeah, you were surrounded by diabetes.
I'm so glad I'm on the floor now.
Yeah, no, then you were on the floor.
There's me who has zero problem with any of this, because I'm just like, who the fuck cares? I slept in bunks with guys before, so I'm like, whatever. And Bill's hyperventilating over here.
I was not hyperventilating. I was just like, this is a different sleep. I haven't had a sleepover in 7 or 8 years.
Bill, you had a. Never mind.
That doesn't really count, but you know what I'm saying. Even then, I couldn't sleep.
Then all of a sudden we did, complete with pillow fight.
I don't know if that was the first time we would ever have. Oh, it was because I remember because Dylan.
What happened is me and Bill are fighting over a pillow, and then Adam just picks up one and is like, "All right, pillow fight." And I grabbed.
And they're both beating on me, the guy with no pillow.
I fucking grabbed two of them. I grabbed two of them, one in each hand, and I just started windmilling that shit. Just
running like fucking gorillas.
I like to imagine.
I'm surprised we didn't get in fucking noise complaints that entire trip.
Oh,
but it was like the fucking pillow fight.
That hotel had to be soundproof because we got so loud.
Oh yeah.
I like to
Especially
imagine that
we were drinking, must have been soundproof.
I like to imagine that
there's
gotta be someone who wants to draw fan art of the pillow fight. It's gotta be the most epic lightsaber duel type of pillow fight.
It has to have Duel of the Fates from Star Wars playing. Where it's like.
It's me and Dylan. Dylan had dual pillows. I just had one pillow.
And again, I had none, and they're beating on me. The two of them on me.
Yes, here's the thing. On the way there,
I was just swinging wildly. Visibility was low. Fucking.
On the way there, I made a joke saying we're having a sleepover, so let's have a pillow fight. And so when we actually fucking had to pillow fight.
And it was hilarious because it was out of
what the fuck is wrong with these people?
It was hilarious because we had it for no reason.
Andres is like, you guys having a pillow fight? What is this? Is this one of your white people jokes?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this tradition.
You just look at the camera and just goes.
I've hit pinatas with sticks, but hitting people with pillows—that's just crazy.
Hit pinatas. Wait, isn't that even a Mexican thing? I thought that was just a random South American.
Yes, that's a Mexican thing, Bill.
Damn it, Andres, your kind is responsible for one of the most embarrassing moments of my childhood.
What do you mean you're kind? What do you mean you're kind?
You're kind.
What do you mean? What do you mean, you people? All right.
So he's not even Mexican.
Because Andres is like, yeah, no, that's a fair statement. Dylan's like, that's racist.
What do you mean you're kind?
Oh gosh.
Andres,
all right. So while we're on the subject of us in the hotel room, I'd like to talk about highlights.
Highlights?
our overall highlight of the trip, because we kind of talked about
Yokai Monster Spook Warfare.
Well, hang on, we'll get to that.
What the fuck was that?
We already covered our favorite thing that happened at the convention in the final vlog. We did, but I want to cover the highlight, each of our personal highlight for the trip. Not the fucking children's magazine.
What?
You've been trying to make that joke for like 2 minutes now, I know. It's not that.
That wasn't even the joke I made that time, but all right.
Oh, okay.
You said
you
said something about our favorite thing that happened at the con, and I was like, you mean the pillow fight?
Oh, okay. Sorry, Dylan. You triggered me. God.
Fucking trigger.
Oh, the fucking trigger jokes.
Trigger me timbers.
Trigger me timbers.
So, highlight of the entire trip, and the one I wanted to bring up as kind of like the precursor to all this, is us going back to the room every night and always having a tokusatsu thing on the TV was fucking awesome. That was just really cool that we had, because it was always just like something to look forward to whenever we could go back to the room. It was like, let's find out what's on the TV. And it was never anything you would expect. It was always something fucking weird.
It's always either a random Ultraman thing, or a shitty Kamen Rider thing, or something you've never heard of.
Like Terror Beneath the Sea. I'd never heard of Terror Beneath the Sea.
Or
I have heard of Yokai Monster Spook Warfare before we watched it.
It was always one of those three things, or the Biollante trailer. Those were the four things.
Or the Mega Gearus trailer, too.
Oh, yeah, they played those two trailers every fucking every
fucking time. I remember it got to the point where we were just like, we were dreading hearing the burn.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Those Japanese movie trailers have this very specific, like, titling deal where it's always like a block of text.
Yeah, you can hardly see what's happening in the trailer because it's just like, text, read it, and I'm like, I can't.
It's always like that, and there's this text over it.
Oh my god, guys, remember?
So whenever we saw that, we go, oh, fuck.
Wait, remember when we saw that weird,
at one point, I muted it.
Remember when we saw that weird, like, kind of Wizard of Oz meets Yokai Yokai War, Spook Warfare or whatever, where it's, like, super fucked up?
Oh, that thing where he buns the fucking little puppet thingy off the fucking
That was a remake of that Yokai Spirits thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember
the bad guys are, like, murdering animals.
Yeah. There
was like
not even like normal.
There was like this puppet thingy, this adorable puppet thingy in the microwave, and all of a sudden they like carry it away, and it dies.
Yeah. Not even. And they weren't even like normal looking animals. Like, you know, you can kill normal animals on screen. You can throw a dog off a bridge. I don't care. But fucking these were these cute little puppets.
Yeah,
Pikachu looking creatures.
And it was taken so seriously, so when it died, it was like,
I don't want to fucking look at that. I don't want to fucking look at that. I don't want to fucking... Nope.
I just came here for some goddamn Spook Warfare, just some good, clean fun, and fucking puppets are dying.
I do have to say, the soundtrack for Yokai Monster Spook Warfare, the original, is actually really good. I downloaded it.
I actually really enjoyed that movie. Not gonna.
Oh, it was
that movie genuinely freaked me out and gave me nightmares.
It's the fucking Kappa and the penis woman.
No. The one with like the umbrella with like the tongue.
Yeah.
That was the thing that scared me. It still scares me the most.
The crazy thing the crazy thing was they brought her back in that remake that we watched the next night, and the special effects had not improved.
It was like, why?
And then the last time we were there, we watched the 2000s version with the okay special effects, and the Kappa looked even creepier because it was just like a dude with fucking like this weird duckbill.
There was also this other thing that they played at one point that we kept like hoping was a remake of Yokai Monster Spook Warfare, but it wasn't even. It turned out to be some demon thing. But we watched like the first 15 minutes of it, like, is it fucking Yokai Monsters?
Well, it was just interesting because when you go to a thing called G-Fest and they tell you, well, they have a TV channel devoted to the convention.
Yeah.
You think, all right, probably going to watch a lot of Godzilla movies this weekend.
No.
I don't know if they played any Godzilla movies. Like,
no,
it was
this year it was more about the Gamera. Because
this year was definitely Gamera. Yeah.
Well,
but they didn't even play any Gamera movies on that TV channel. You had to go to the...
did.
Oh, no, they played
Zigra and Jiger and some others.
The only one I remember them playing was The Brave at the very end.
Oh, I also remember us seeing little, like, the ending of of Gamera the Invincible. The one.
Oh yeah,
the
that's
one
right.
with the one with the two M's.
You're right.
Oh yeah, the Americanized version, which they played in widescreen, which I was like, oh, that's so cool. But yet they couldn't get a decent version of Daimajin because they were horribly pan scanned, and that was the AIP TV dub.
Maybe they kind of wanted to make it more. They wanted to make it feel more authentic that you're watching something on a Tokusatsu show on.
No, because it was the version. It was the version that was available down by the bootleg people.
Did you guys watch that?
Oh.
Did you guys watch that?
At this point, why would you even make a bootleg of that pan and scan version?
At this point, yeah.
Did you guys see that kaiju movie marathon that they did on Saturday, Shout Factory?
No.
I didn't watch it either. I heard that August Regone did a great job hosting it, but I looked at the schedule of what they were going to be playing. It was all Godzilla movies except for some Ultra 7 episodes, and I'm like, it's called a kaiju movie marathon. The fucking in-house channel at G-Fest was better than this. Let's get a little variety. Let's fucking.
And the in-house TV channel was more diversified than just kaiju. It was just Tokusatsu stuff in general.
Yes, it was.
We discovered the love of.
Golden Bat.
We had so much fun watching
that. That was so much fun.
Oh my god! The morning before we left, right?
I might have to. No.
No, it was the day before.
Yeah, and we're sitting in the room.
It was so amazing. I might have to renounce my devotion to Minya Christ and start the cult of the Golden Bat.
I was also feeling like shit that morning, so watching that put me in good spirits. Watching fucking. The stupid, goofy Golden Bat costume.
And that pig monster that was clearly a man, wrapped in carpet.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so the whole time I'm watching and I'm thinking, this looks like a really poor, early 50s version of, Arkham Knight.
Very early 50s. No, guess when it was made? It was made in 1966.
I figured it was the 60s, but it looks like the early 50s. It reminded me of, just the quality of the production. You guys ever seen a Bela Lugosi movie called The Devil Bat?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's one of those cheap public domain horror movies from it was either the 40s or 50s. It's a piece of shit, but it's got that really weird charm of it's got that one actor in it that everybody knows and everybody else is just fucking unknown.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that just in terms of
Chiba was in it.
Okay. Yeah, it's got this one really iconic aspect. And then the rest of it is just ridiculous nonsense.
Then an hour later, we're sitting in Billy DeBose's panel, or we're waiting for Billy DeBose's panel to start, and Andres is trying to show me this fucking thing on his phone, this fucking badass anime version of Golden Bat. And I'm like, holy shit, that's epic. But the damn thing wouldn't play because the internet connection in the hotel kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Well, what made it especially awesome was that I had never heard of Golden Bat prior to watching that movie, and
something just occurred to me. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were recording.
Okay.
I'm watching the timer.
I hope so.
That wasn't a problem.
I had also never heard of this Super Giants thing.
Oh, Super Giant! Oh, that was so much fun because it was like looking at a prototype Kamen Rider with a huge bulge.
Yeah, except.
What the hell are you guys talking about?
Oh yeah.
He's just a guy with a superhero costume and an antenna coming out of his head.
He wasn't on MST3K, but spin-offs.
Okay.
The guy where they stuffed his crotch because they thought women would think it more attractive if he had a big dick.
Yeah, it's you're making this cheap serialized schlock for kids, and it's let's add sex appeal. It's no, don't add sex appeal. Just make it cheesy nonsense.
And as soon as I never noticed it until Andre said it, and then every time I saw him, I looked at his crotch. I was like, oh my god, it's so obvious that they stuffed it.
Oh yeah.
It is so obvious.
Andres, do you remember what the other name for that thing was?
What?
Supergiant was the Japanese name for it, right? But
yeah. I'll just check right now.
Starman?
Was it Starman?
Oh yeah, Starman. Starman was the English version. Supergiant
there are so many
Space Giant. I think it was the Space Giant. I think that's his name in Supergiant or Space Giant was the name of Japanese name.
There are so many random science fiction properties called Starman. There's the Jeff Bridges movie that had a TV show after it. You guys remember that?
No.
Oh yeah, it's the character's name was Supergiant, and he had 9 movies.
There were a couple DC characters called Starman, right?
Yeah, there's Starman is a huge DC property.
There's a Mega Man villain called Starman.
There's a whole bunch of things called Starman. So it's fucked up. Anyway,
the guy's and Supergiant, he isn't giant at all.
No, he's a regular sized
what
dude.
what was that show with the stop-motion statues?
Because when you told me his name was Supergiant, I'm like, so is he in like a really big place right now, and all these people he's fighting are giant? Because he doesn't look that giant.
Oh, my atomic grenade.
Oh God!
Oh yes.
Yeah, my atomic grenade.
Wait a second, on what?
We have
and
brought you here because you are well versed in the ways of. We have brought you here because you are well versed in the ways of science.
The ways of in the ways of the universe and science. And I love it when he throws the grenade. It's a regular explosion. I'm like, that was the weakest atomic explosion I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
it's the most half-assed superhero costume.
It's also like no fallout, nobody's dying of radiation poisoning. It's just basically.
And what was that show with the stop motion in it?
Demon Hunter Mitsurugi. It was basically Power Rangers. It was like a like a feudal Japan version of Power Rangers, where instead of a guy in a costume as a Megazord, it's a giant Daimajin-esque statue that's portrayed in stop motion.
Which is
cool. So bizarre.
And the villain in that thing, Mumra the Ever Living, he
Yeah. Well, the whole time we're watching it, Andres is in the bathroom, and I'm like, Andres, get your fucking ass out here! There's a tokusatsu thing, I don't know what it is. And I was completely convinced that it was a Sentai show.
I was convinced.
Yeah, especially when you have three characters that are all dressed in color-coded ninja outfits.
You'd be surprised how.
But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, what fucking Sentai?
You'd be surprised how often that happens.
The show only lasted like 12 episodes, and it did terribly. So it was like canceled halfway through the season.
It's really bizarre. It's like one of the trippiest tokusatsu things I've ever seen.
I think mostly because of the fact that it was stop motion, and that was like to them like a huge. They didn't have the budget for that.
No, it was a huge novelty, and it didn't. It looked pretty bad.
It wasn't the best stuff.
It did look pretty bad.
The thing
commendable, at least.
It's not Harry. It's not that Harryhausen stop motion where it's like it blends well with the live action.
No.
It looked like we were watching that scene from.
No, it looked like we were watching a Rankin Bass TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It looked like we were watching that Mark Twain movie with the mysterious stranger in it, and then we were just watching a Super Sentai show. Randomly, it didn't really match up at all, and it didn't help because in the stop motion bits, don't like the heroes transform into the giant mech thing?
No, they're just like, hey Mitsurugi, come save our asses, and then he.
Oh, okay, so it's even more not integrated well because it's like they call on it and then it just cuts to the fight and then they never interact at all.
It's kind of like the formula of the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon.
Yeah, but at least Godzilla.
Oh look, monster of the week, Mitsurugi, come save us.
No, but at least Godzilla interacted with the crew of the Calico. Like, this motherfucker never at any point shares screen time with the rest of the cast.
And then Mumra.
It's like this random intercut.
And then Mumra would be like, darn, foiled again. He would go back to his fucking cave with his army of recent plastic surgery patients.
Yes. Oh,
right.
And the other thing, too, was this was Bill's also introduction to Paul Gassari.
Mm.
Yeah, I watched the one with
We
Paul
saw
Gassari.
that. And it was like, you guys were baffled by the fact that how shit it looked for a movie made in 1980. And
no, wasn't I like, this actually doesn't look as bad as I thought it would?
No, it looks
like,
fine. It looks fine if it had been made in 1965.
Yeah, well, that was my thing. Cause
yeah,
I was
yeah.
Like, if it was made like 20 years prior to when it actually was made, it would look like a fine movie. But it was made like right before Godzilla '84, and it doesn't look like in that same league at all.
The soundtrack was fucking horrible.
The soundtrack was what drove me nuts because there's like these thousands of extras, right, running all around.
Yeah, it looks like
it was like
epic,
a huge
like,
scope. It was like a huge epic film. And you have this fucking soundtrack that's a synthesizer, like.
It sounded kind of like It sounded like an '80s porno movie, which it pretty much was.
Like it was composed by fucking Randy Newman's retarded brother on a guitar.
It's like Andre
Sorry, walking around, killing his enemies.
Also, the fucking plot of that movie is just a shitty
fight some monsters.
That motion.
Oh no, I pooped myself. Oh, we kid Randy Newman, but he won an Oscar, so.
We can debate about whether or not he deserved an Oscar.
Suck my giant cock.
Dun dun dun.
Did you guys know that the Mana song from what is it? Is it that's from Sesame Street? Is it from the Muppets? I think it's from the Muppets.
Was that written by Randy Newman?
No, that's based on a porno soundtrack.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Andre, do you remember that from Babylon? That apparently there's a Swedish porno movie from like the 70s, and that's what that song from the Muppets is based on.
You know who should sing that song? Silva.
And it's identical. It's like if you watch the porno movie, it's literally Mana, but da 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 Mana. It's just people fucking. It's
you know who should sing that song? Fucking Sylvester Stallone. He'd be like, yeah.
I think they did that bit on Babylon. Alright, so we'll
I am the law.
We'll come back to the in-house TV channel.
Parking cars.
I do want to say that one bootleg. I won't name the bootleg site, but the one that several of us have visited frequently. They have Argon Bat.
I say DVD.
They have Golden Bat.
They do, Andre?
Do they really?
Yes, it's only $11.99. I'm so getting this.
Well, is it like a shitty VHS tape or?
Considering the quality of this person's other works, I'd say this is very high quality looking, judging by the screenshots.
You can always trust high say DVD.
So glad you just told me that. Yeah, I just jizzed myself. No,
So who else has got a really big highlight of the entire trip they want to bring up that they didn't bring up on the previous vlog? In terms of the big thing where it's like walked away from the trip going, you know what? God damn it, that was awesome that we did that.
Definitely going to being invited to dinner by the comic book guys.
Yeah, you know what, Andres? Let's talk about that.
I was just about to say we ate food and that was great.
That was cool.
I ate terrible chicken parmesan.
Yeah, that chicken parm wasn't amazing. Mine was definitely better than yours, though. I looked at yours and I was like, it looks like someone picked that out of a dumpster. Mine just tasted kind of like it tasted like if I remember back in high school, the lunch ladies always used to go, "Oh, we're making chicken parm today," and it was always just like the chicken fingers that they usually serve, just with parmesan.
Your lunch ladies attempted chicken parmesan.
Oh yeah. And
ours did too, and always failed.
Our lunch ladies were just like, "Here's your shitty pizza."
Yeah, that too. Well, in high school, pizza always tasted like it was like cardboard with like bad cheese and sauce put on top of it. Like you couldn't eat the crust at all. It was fucking gross.
Like I took my lunch for no other reason than I didn't want to eat that shitty food.
Anyway, so Andres, go ahead and elaborate on our really cool dinner experience with Chris Martinez and Foster and all those guys.
Okay, so basically, I think it was after the panel. No, actually, when I guess Chris Martinez he asked for a favor, like to help charge his phone, and along the way
Andres was like, "Sure, I'll take you up to the."
And Andres didn't realize that he was actually soliciting him for sex, and it was really.
No. What he did was he was like, "Sure, I'll take you up to the room and we can plug up your phone." And then he gets up to the room and he's like, "Shit, I don't have a room key."
Yeah, that's right. And I'm pretty sure I was in the bathroom at that point, trying not to die. I got a text message from Andre.
I don't even remember.
Where he was like, "Bill, I need you to come up 9 floors and help me get in the room." And I'm like,
I don't even remember where
shit.
I was when fucking somebody messaged. When I think was it you, Bill, that texted me? It was like, "Hey, Andres needs a room key."
I think so, because I'm pretty sure I was face down in the toilet with my ass hanging in there, just like, why did I do this to myself?
Well, basically, along the way, he invited all of us to dinner with him, Jonathan, Claude, Tyler, Keith Foster, and several other people. And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And so we were there at this Italian place, which was, I guess, right behind the hotel, I think. It was in that same block.
Oh, it was
right over by the... It was right
no, we drove a bit, yeah.
I remember.
Well, we had to get in the car because...
We had to drive for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be further away. I didn't know where these
fucking walk it.
I was like, we're going to end up back in New York. Like, is that how far away this is? But no, it was literally just around the corner.
We almost sat outside, but thank God we didn't, because apparently some group didn't show up, so we got to escape the rain.
Well, yeah, so there was this like, giant...
And then they wound up showing up.
Yeah, like right as we were about to leave, we're like, thank God, let's get the fuck out of here.
We wound up sitting where they were supposed to be sitting, so they all got to sit outside where it was raining. And we got their nice big section that had been cleared out.
Exactly. So that was nice. It was nice to screw them over.
Oh, yes. I always enjoy screwing over my fellow man.
Yeah, me too. Me
So,
too.
so
It's my favorite. It's my favorite pastime.
My favorite.
The American way.
no, but that was just really cool, just to hang out with a bunch of guys like that at a fucking restaurant and just fucking be all casual and shoot the shit. That was really fun.
And I remember how it was you, Bill, who mentions like, "Whoa, we're like hanging out with cool people." That kind of makes us kind of cool people.
Cooler people.
That makes us uncool people who know cool people.
Yeah.
Like that's. And at this point in our lives, that's a pretty cool place to be in. Like, that's pretty great.
That's great considering your current Skype profile picture.
Yeah.
Yours, Bill. Like, we're uncool people who know cool people, and it's just a picture of
Thug life.
Carlton.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That is because I can't see my Skype picture while we're talking, so it's like.
So we're all.
That's a good point, though.
We're all Carltons who happen to know a couple of Will Smiths.
And Adam's profile.
Yes, absolutely.
Looks like he's saying, "My God."
Yeah.
Adam, I really hope on one of our screens that your account picture is next to mine. Like he's looking at Carlton, just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Thug life. What is this thug life?
For those wondering, minus picture of Cesar Romero about to die from Latitude Zero.
Cesar Romero and I have one thing in common. We both sat in the toilet trying not to die. Just for slightly different reasons.
I just love how you can only see the bottom row of his teeth, too, because of the way his head's tilted.
He's like, yeah,
I just like their mustaches.
Bruce, they need to reboot 60s Batman and you need to play the Joker.
You'd have to
I
grow.
would like to be the clown prince of crime.
You have to grow a mustache.
Yes.
You have to grow a mustache and refuse to shave it.
And paint it green. That's the best part of that show.
what?
Is the green mustache.
No, they never painted it green.
Bill.
No, they just covered it with white makeup, and you could still fucking see it.
Oh, I thought they painted it green.
Why would the Joker have a green mustache, Bill?
That would be awesome.
Well, I mean, if he's gonna have a mustache at all, it probably.
I'm sorry, Andres. Is that too silly for 60s Batman? For Joker
Too
to have
silly.
a green
I want to see a version of the Joker now where he like.
Yes.
I want to see a version of the Joker now where he grows some facial hair and it's like a fucking like green goatee and shit.
He has before.
Well, Kevin Smith did.
Like he fucking wakes up out of a coma and he has this giant ass fucking green beard.
That's exactly what happened in that Kevin Smith comic Batman Cacophony, but it wasn't green.
And then,
I'm sorry. Wait, hang on. What's the title?
And then the doctor comes in and says, "Okay, you can remove your face warmer now."
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Batman. Cacophony.
You mean the cacophony?
Batman
Cacophony.
Batman.
Right?
I've never heard of that fucking word before.
Wait. Batman.
That was just like a moment.
Batman.
That's like, I feel like I'm watching that video where the Korean girl's going, I want to cock. I want to cock.
All right, Andres, just.
And Andres, you're that woman.
Andres, just say it again and I'll repeat it. All right. So what was it? Okay, so it's Batman.
Alright, I'm gonna here's the title, okay?
No, don't type it. We want you to say it out loud.
Batman caca carrot cake, whatever. Batman.
Oh, Grace, we're not judging you. We're just laughing.
Oh,
at
cacophony.
I've never heard that fucking word before in my life.
Really? You never took 11th grade vocabulary?
They never taught us that shit.
Well, he is
11th grade Spanish.
He is Mexican. Let's just say that he is a Mexican.
Yeah, but he speaks better English than I do.
He
So.
does speak better.
And all of a sudden he sees the word cacophony and he's like, Batman caca carrot cake.
I was just like, in my head I felt really bad because I was like, I know he thinks he's saying it properly, so if I say anything that makes me a dick.
It was like my friend trying to say Sacagawea and he kept saying Sacagawea.
Now I understand what you were saying, Andres. You were saying cacophony.
Yeah, cacophony.
Andres, again, I'd just like to reiterate, we're not judging you, we're just laughing at you. It's totally fine.
By the way, there's a picture of Joker with a beard, Dylan.
Okay, I'm gonna like this. What is this?
Alright,
Mr. Joker.
Well, it's taking you forever to load, and the thumbnail just says Joker barf, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god, he looks terrible.
Joker, you can remove your face now.
Still loading.
I know it's a. Oh, it looks like pubes.
Oh my god, it looks like pubes. It
That's
does.
what I was about to say. His hair looks.
Also,
it looks like pubic hair.
in that bottom panel, why does he look at his eyes? He looks like Gilbert Gottfried. What's going on?
Yeah, and this was drawn by Walt Flanagan, who I've seen do good art before, but I don't know, I don't like the art in this
Also,
book.
look at his hand in that one panel. Look how small and dainty it is.
Yeah, look, it's like, how is he holding that book? Like, what the hell? Does he have spider power?
He has lady hands.
Alright, so Dylan and Adam, what were your highlight? What was your big highlight from the whole trip? What was your favorite thing?
Huh.
Whichever you think's it first can shout it out.
Let me think.
Well, I can tell you what, the lemon-scented soap blew my mind.
Oh, yes, of course. The lemon-scented soap, that's...
You have no idea how much I love lemon-scented shit.
Like, he couldn't shut up about that shit. The minute we got to the room, oh my god, you guys! They have lemon-scented soap!
There's lemon-scented soap in the bathroom, and I'm like...
It's lemon-scented! You know, all I could think of was
every villain is
lemons!
Otherwise,
I'm like washing myself in the lemon-scented soap. I was like, smell my lemony goodness.
This art from this fucking Batman book makes me want to kill myself. Look at this fucking shit. Look at this shit.
If you want to impress me, you show me a nice bathroom. That's what I'm really impressed by. I like bathrooms where I walk in and I'm like, you know what? I can hang out in here for a couple
you know what?
hours.
Those bathrooms are pretty clean. And
oh my god, look at the fucking Joker face!
It's so
that Joker face.
I'm gonna totally make that a meme. Every time somebody posts something I like, I'm gonna post that.
Yeah, post that picture of Joker saying, I love it.
I love it.
I love how Batman, when he was getting dressed today in the Batcave, was like, fuck it, I don't need eyes.
I love how the Joker is just like, did you super glue your face? And Batman's like, yes.
I'm gonna...
I'm totally
and Batman's like, fuck.
I'm gonna save this image and crop out everything but Joker saying I love it.
Joker saying I love it.
That needs to be like a meme that we use.
This is I'm gonna save it. I'm calling it Love It.
It's a new meme. It's gonna happen when
I love it. I'm gonna find some random post on Toho Nation right now and post it.
No.
Well, Adam, I just gotta know: is there any other highlight that you have from the trip aside from Lemon? Or is that it? Was that your biggest thing?
The meme that we deserve, but not the one.
I know it's silly because you guys have already met. But one of the biggest things, hands down, is me actually finally getting to meet Andres and Dylan, mainly Dylan.
That's right, I forgot that was a thing this year that you guys had never met. Because I've hung out with all of you prior to this, separately. So I never really realized how big of a deal it was that you guys were together.
Yeah. But that was me meeting them and talking about Weird Man. I was like, I'm in heaven.
Weird Man.
And then I have to say the other one was, just meeting a couple of our fans, like Andrew and Brayton. Brayton's a really awesome guy. I was very happy to hang out with him and stuff.
Yeah, I wish I had got to meet him. That would have been cool. I feel bad.
Yeah, we never did we?
No, you guys were dicks and were too good for the fans.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we were.
Basically.
We were too good for them, so we decided.
I don't even remember where I was. Well, I was. Yeah, Adam met him on several occasions. On one of those occasions.
Yeah.
I was.
He met him at that one panel while we were at a little art gallery where we saw like the most socially awkward person at the con.
Oh God!
Oh God!
Brayton and I met Brayton earlier.
Yeah,
you met him prior to that, didn't you?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so then
he just happened to be down there, and I was like, oh hey, and he was like, oh hey, and so we started, walking around with each other again.
Did you meet him?
And the English language never felt more well served.
Did you meet him while we were sitting in bed reading Night of the Fire Beast?
Actually, yeah, because I'm not sure if it was that case, but you guys were sitting around doing nothing, and there was panels going on, and so I wanted to venture out on my own. And kind of like go to a couple, kind of enjoyed the con, and
what a novel concept that is. Enjoying the convention, we're like, I'm gonna sleep.
I love how we're gonna stay up here and take a nap, but we fucking.
I can tell you one of the moments that freaked me out was when you guys had gone to see Genesis, and I had fallen asleep on my cot, and then all of a sudden you guys walked in. And I was sleeping, and suddenly I just woke up and I saw you and Dylan staring down at me.
Well,
I felt like I was on the examination table from the Barney and Betty Hill incident.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
He woke up just before we could get to the dorm room.
You know, I walked in, and you had your laptop open, the TV was on, and there was music playing, so I'm like...
I was listening to Akira Ifukube because I usually listen to music or something. If I want to go to bed really quick, I'll listen to something soothing, and there's just one piece of music by Akira Ifukube that is kind of works as a lullaby for me. It just kind of helps me go to bed. And I was listening to that. I remember Bill thinking that it was on television. It was the music that was actually on television.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is he watching?
Oh, yeah, because you had, like, the TV muted, so I was watching whatever the fuck was on, but hearing the music coming from your laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were both like, wait a second, that's not coming from the TV.
And it was a really weird combination, too. I don't remember what was on at that moment.
It was like a Super Sentai thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Serious ass Godzilla music.
It's like, ba-da-da-da, and it's like fucking weird costume monsters just dancing around on the screen. No, but yeah, that was certainly...
By the way, Brayden, if I'm mispronouncing your name, feel free to yell at me, because I want to pronounce it right, and I feel like I'm not pronouncing it right.
Could it really be Brayton? Because that's the only way.
Brayton.
I'm assuming you pronounce it.
It's like a crouton or a craton.
I'm assuming you pronounce it the same way. Yeah, I'm assuming you pronounce it the same way you pronounce Clayton.
That was another thing when we were in the car.
Or not Clayton.
I forget what we were talking about, but Dylan, you brought up the fucking Kingdom Hearts game with fucking Tarzan in it.
I fucking saw that cutscene so many times. If you had any idea how many fucking attempts it took me to beat that fucking level.
Oh god, that's hilarious.
Burrowed it into my brain.
Alright, Dylan, I need your highlight now. I need it right now, right this second.
Oh fuck, let me see.
Otherwise the whole universe is gonna explode.
Oh shit.
I'm not kidding.
It's alright,
No.
Matt Smith will just reboot it.
That'll definitely work. That's because that's a realistic.
He's rebooted both a universe and a franchise now. He's a master at this.
Sure, why not? Just what's your highlight?
Fuck.
He's forcing you to pick it really quickly.
Fuck a duck.
Yeah, I did that. That was great. No,
That was fun. It was so erotic.
God. Oh god.
Oh, also,
holy fuck, is that wrong?
Oh, you remember that fucking guy who thought we were in like a fucking Godzilla-related like gang or some shit?
Oh, that dude from the 7-Eleven, right? Or
wait, what
happened? Or something else?
Oh. All right, so Dylan, you tell the story because you tell it better than I do. So you and I went out to buy liquor at one point.
So. Yeah, and it took fucking forever because we look at fucking Bill.
Yeah, I made a bad joke.
Bill looks at Siri's like, oh, it's only 3 minutes by car, so we can just walk this shit. 3 minutes by car is like an hour walking. It turns out.
It took an hour to walk both ways, and we were also standing in line for like 25 minutes because this guy was bitching about his lotto ticket.
Well, and before that, we had to stand and wait to cross the street in this big crowd with the fucking bootleg guy and August Rago, and they were talking about something or...
yeah, I felt like we were see, it was weird because we had that moment, and I'm like, I feel like we're in like a posse right now. And then we went to this fucking shady liquor store.
And we were so uninvited.
Oh,
like at one point they turned, and then we just kept going. But for a while there, it was like we were walking with Ragone and his posse, and I was like, I feel like I'm not wanted here.
Yeah, I feel like we're barging our way into this. So we walked to the liquor store, and
we finally fucking find the thing.
Yeah, we're also looking for a 7-Eleven. Never found the 7-Eleven until later.
So Bill stops at the ATM because he needed to get some money, and I went to the aisle right over and grabbed some vodka. And I'm just, I just want to buy my fucking liquor and get the fuck out of there. But fucking, there were these two black guys in front of us. A younger one.
And he's not saying that to be racist. He's saying that to be accurate.
I'm just being descriptive.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Anyway. The younger one of the two, I don't know if they were like father and son or like uncle and nephew or like gay lovers. I don't know what it was, but
it could have been anything.
But it was a younger one and
they could have not even known each other, and it would have made perfect sense.
They left together anyway.
That doesn't mean anything.
The younger one is bitching at the guy behind the counter, who of course was some sort of Middle Eastern.
I thought he was Indian.
Oh, was he?
I didn't ask.
Both of you guys did mention that it was like the stereotypical Indian cashier.
I felt so just like, oh my god, this stereotype is so accurate.
It reminded me of when we were leaving LaGuardia and we had the most stereotypical encounter with an Indian ever. But
Oh, that, and we also walked under that bridge, and there were just, like, millions of, not millions, but, like, there was just, like, a bunch of homeless guys just chilling out. There were millions of them. No, there's, like, a bunch of homeless people chilling out under this bridge, and I'm like, this seems out of place. Anyway,
so the guy was bitching at the guy behind the counter, something to do with a lottery ticket or something, and the fucking old guy turns around and starts making awkward conversation with us about, like, sports,
alright, so
and how to play the lotto.
I have a really bad habit when people start talking of just, like, not understanding a word they're saying. Especially when I don't know them and I'm sitting in line somewhere.
I also have a bad habit of being incredibly rude.
Well, what happens is, like, they'll start talking, I have no idea what they're talking about, and I'll just agree. And every now and then it'll get me into trouble because they'll ask me a question and I'll just go, yeah, absolutely, just like trying to agree with them, just trying to get them to leave me alone.
Talking about fucking like sports or something, and I don't
talking about basketball or some shit.
Who fucking talks about sports? I mean, only fucking losers.
I have a problem where I can't really comprehend sport. Like, I could sit here and have an in-depth conversation with you about the Lord of the Rings mythos or the political situation in Star Trek or fucking...
Yeah, right.
Or fucking the different incarnations of Godzilla. But you start talking about, like, football and, like, first downs and, like, it's all Greek to me. Like, I don't fucking...
Yeah, and he's also just, like, he's also bitching about how, like, because he's bitching about, like, this basketball player where he was like, oh, you know, they pay him millions of dollars every year and he doesn't want to fucking go out and play because his kid's got a soccer game or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't care.
But
leave me alone.
He seemed like a nice enough, like, old guard.
No, he seemed fine.
Kind of like...
People in Chicago are weird.
It was, I mean, listen, you can count on that anywhere. You go into a place.
The younger one who was bitching about his lotto ticket, who was, like, straight up thug life,
he started talking, I got scared.
He turns around to us, because the Indian guy went to do something else. He turns around to us, and he's like, yo, I've been seeing a lot of those Godzilla shirts around town lately. What y'all represent?
And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
I'm like,
I think he's basically saying, what's up with the shirts?
Yeah, but the way
the
way he phrased it, me and Bill are like, does he think we're in, like, a gang? Like a fucking nerdy...
Is he gonna shank me?
Like a fucking...
A Godzilla gang?
A fucking nerdy-ass gang that wears Godzilla shirts.
Oh, okay.
But did you really just make a Godzilla gang reference, Bill?
Yes, he did.
Oh, God, I love you.
Whatever happened to that show? But anyway...
Whatever happened to predictability?
Sorry, audience. Bill can't English very well.
Whatever happened to predictability?
Says Batman.
I just had a minor stroke. I apologize.
Just like the Brickashaw.
I like how a minute ago Andres is like Batman cacophony, and now he's like, "Yo, Bill can't talk."
You can't do that.
I like to hear anybody in the audience who is aware of that word.
Cacophony.
Everybody in this call,
it is a common,
and whoever else cares.
It is a common English word among smart people.
Amongst smarter people, more intelligent, amongst more meligent. Look, now it's contagious.
More melodramatic.
It's fucking contagious.
I was scared.
It's contagious.
That's probably the next Kevin Smith title, Batman Meligent.
It's contagious.
He is supposed to be writing a third one. I'm not really sure when it's going to come out, though. It's been like 3 years.
Anyway, and then Bill's trying to explain the concept of G-Fest to this guy.
So let me just say this before you continue.
This fucking thug life guy.
So, explaining G-Fest to anybody who doesn't already know what it is like
that
fighting
an Joker face I can't get over.
Is like fighting the most dangerous uphill battle you could ever possibly fight. Because nobody has a clue as to what the fuck it is. Like, you're like, alright, so you know Godzilla? This is a convention of people who like Godzilla. And they're like, there's a market for that? Like, that's a thing in America? Like, people do that? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that's fucking stupid. And I'm like, I mean, I can't disagree necessarily, but that's the way it is. So, trying to explain that to this guy who I was like super intimidated by because he was just fighting with the fucking guy behind the counter. I'm just like, it's a thing about Godzilla. And he was like, alright, that's cool. And then he walked out and we crapped our pants and left. No.
A family podcast.
I love how Dylan leaves in the middle of him telling his highlight of the convention.
Yeah.
So well timed. So you know what? I think that's pretty much all he has to say about that, though. Anyway, so let's move on. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was let's just talk about the some of the people we met who we haven't name dropped necessarily. We tried to get as many of them into the final vlog that we did as possible, but I don't think we got everybody. I think we talked about Keith Foster. I think we talked a lot about Christopher Martinez, Jonathan Claude.
We didn't talk about Tyler. Damn it, what was his last name?
I don't remember. I think I have a card from him now. Here, let me look. Andres, why don't you start talking about them, though?
Okay, so, yeah, basically we met him at the that dinner that Chris invited us to, and he himself has worked on a independent kaiju comic that he was gracious enough to lend me a copy to review sometime in the near future, hopefully. I believe it was called Durantis, and basically he's been good friends with Matt Frank, and he's been trying to get into like the IDW comics. I believe he's done some work for the IDW Godzilla comics, but it's never... I forgot what it was, but he's done, but basically what he really hopes to do
what was it called? Was it called an incentive cover?
That's what he wants to do, but
right.
He hasn't... That's what he's been trying to strive for, but unfortunately he hasn't had the opportunity.
And once again, it's somebody with a last name I don't know how to pronounce. I feel bad. All right, so I'm going to say Salis?
Oh, okay.
Sowles. That's the last name. I'm not sure how exactly you're supposed to pronounce that.
And it's called Durantis the Lost Serpent. He's going to be...
That's a comic, yeah.
That's a nice reference.
And he's going to eventually have a Kickstarter very soon to gain the funding for a second issue of Durantis.
Right, because he only just did the one.
Yeah, and
super nice guy.
Oh yeah, definitely, and he's definitely been someone who's kind of. It looks from what the conversations that I've had with him, with Chris, Keith, and Jonathan, it seems like he's a person who's definitely been around the block in terms of like the comic book industry, and he kind of knows how that whole industry works, and he seems to be someone with like quite a lot of experience.
He has some stories to tell.
Some very interesting stories.
We won't relay on the podcast because we don't know exactly how much he likes to tell them publicly anyway, but some cool stories, so he really knows.
There are a lot of hookers in his backstory.
Yeah, a lot of hookers and blow. No, that's speculation.
But I would love to... we should definitely have him on this podcast, because he's definitely...
This podcast's like halfway over, so...
Well, you know what I mean, SOS.
Wait,
but,
who are we referring to exactly?
We're talking about
your mother.
Oh, okay.
But one of the things I also really liked about it was that meeting all these people is like we kind of all operate under like this similar wavelength where we can instantly like connect with these people because they kind of had this similar sense of humor as we do. And it kind of makes us feel a lot more at home at G-Fest, meeting these type of people.
What I like about meeting these people is that they all have like the same kind of backstories we do, as in we're nothing but a bunch of geeks who kind of met each other through our love of these geekish things.
Yeah.
And as well as these are also people trying to create something from nothing, which is exactly what all of us are trying to do here.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And just that alone makes me respect them a lot. Anyways, for example, Chris Martinez. I've been talking to him quite a bit lately because I just did a review for. I haven't released it yet, but I did a review. It's 17 minutes long of Night of the Fire Beast.
Yeah.
And I've been asking him questions about that, and just talking to him like that. I said that a lot. Talking to him about like how he created it and stuff like that, respects him a lot because I'm trying to do the same thing with our fucking movies, and it's like trying to get our name out there. We're all these low Z-grade independent people trying so desperately to make something of ourselves.
Yeah, and we all kind of start in the same place, which it's one of the things I love about G-Fest.
It's like having one or two of us is like one thing, but having like a whole entire group of us just kind of come together for this is another thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's one of the things I like about G-Fest, though, is that it started out that way, where it was literally just like people who read G-Fan magazine and who liked this stuff were like, let's meet up in person and hang out, and that's how the first G-Fest was organized. It was just a bunch of Godzilla fans who knew each other only through that magazine, who then got together and kind of met up and discussed ideas and everything, and then the whole convention came out of it, and now it's this big thing. It's the largest convention of its kind in the country, in terms of like specific to tokusatsu stuff. I don't even know how much competition it has for that.
I don't either.
Are there others?
Isn't there something called Son of Monster Palooza?
Yeah, I believe.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Those
yes.
are more generally horror-based.
Yeah, kind of like just movie monsters in general, not just Japanese specifically.
And
I
fair,
wouldn't
though,
mind at some point going to that either, because there's...
Oh, that'd be cool. It's
Yeah.
it's just not specific to Godzilla.
Yeah.
So again, G-Fest is kind of it's the biggest of its kind, but it's very unique in that it's kind of the only thing like itself. But that's totally fine. And to be fair,
it's big, but it's also like still small and kind of kitsch and like
that too.
Really,
because Godzilla has a huge presence at a lot of the Comic-Cons too. Like it's not like, I mean, there were at New York Comic-Con when I went, there was a huge section devoted to Godzilla, where with the SH Monster Arts figures and the video games and DVDs and everything. So it's not like he only has G-Fest and that's it. No, he's got a bunch of other shit. And the Godzilla actors and celebrities associated with the franchise go to other conventions too. Like, you know, they go to anime conventions in the Son of Monster Palooza, one that you just mentioned. So G-Fest is unique though in that it's all devoted to this stuff, and it's kind of small, and it's still based around just the simple idea of like, hey, we all like the same stuff, let's meet up and chill. So I feel like what we encountered this year with Martinez and Foster and all those guys was kind of an embodiment of that, where it was like we all knew each other kind of indirectly, both through last G-Fest and also through you having interacted with Martinez, and we of course all knew Biggie and Baker.
Out of all the people that I met this year, Foster was definitely my favorite.
Oh God, I mean we had seen him last year.
Yeah. It took a while for that to sink in. I was like, oh, he moderated that other comics panel last year, and then I
think he moderated the Rulers of Earth panel with Zornow and Matt Frank.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered him.
Just the general IDW Godzilla panel. So
I felt like a fish out of water a lot of the time when I was there with those guys, because I'm not the comic book guy at all. I'm like the independent film guy. Which I don't know if you're saving that for a section, but in retrospect, that's what I want to do more of next year, is chill out with the Independent Film Festival downstairs and all those people, because that is definitely my forte. Well, your guys' fortes are comics, and I got that definitely with the entire ride there and the entire ride back from Chicago, because you guys were having like these really deep conversations about some comics and stuff, and I'm like, that's cool.
About them funny books.
And I'm like, that's cool and stuff.
Them funny
it's
books.
just not my forte. It's just I didn't grow up with comic books. I don't read comic books. I read a couple mangas, but that's it. And you know it. So next year I'm going to make it like a mission of mine to go downstairs more and see those film festivals and meet those directors and stuff down there trying to make their films.
Right, but that's, again, another thing I like about the convention is that it's that varied. It covers kind of all the bases in terms of, like, you can go look at the comic stuff, like they have Artist Alley for that, but then they also have Dojo Studios where it's all about the film stuff.
Yeah, no. I mean the stuff like downstairs where they're playing the films.
The film.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Oh, yeah, where it's like the first day or two, I believe, they mentioned they had like a huge marathon of all the Gamera movies, which we unfortunately didn't have the time to check out.
Yeah, down in the midway where we watched.
Yeah, midway.
Where we went twice for Kaiju Gaiden.
Which I did not like as a theater. I mean, it's not really a theater.
It's not designed as a theater. It's designed to be one of these rooms where a bunch of like businessmen get together and their boss gives them a presentation.
Yeah, that's basically what this
and
type of.
It's super uncomfortable to sit there and watch a 2-hour movie or a 90-minute thing or whatever.
Yeah, because there's the seats themselves are kind of weird, but I think I may have seen like some like college like classes rooms that have those type of weird seats where they're kind of bolted but also kind of movable in a sense. But anyways,
colleges don't want you to be comfortable because they want you to stay awake and abssorb what the professor is saying.
Yeah, especially when they have like
the seats to be comfortable.
Especially
I have
when they have
yet
like
to find the classroom I cannot fall asleep in, and I defy them to build one.
We find our ways to get around that, but yeah, no, it's not really built to be a theater.
No.
But yeah,
I don't remember how it came up when we met Foster, but at some point somehow it came up that me and him were both blaxploitation fans.
Oh
and
yeah,
we just spent fucking 5 minutes just fucking geeking out over that shit, and like he has a fucking funk band that everybody should go check out because I listened to some of his shit when we got back, and it's mad chill.
Yeah, you were telling me it's awesome. I haven't had the chance to listen to any of it yet, but
especially I shared in Toa Nation they did like this cover of the Godzilla theme, and it was fucking epic.
Is it like all funky?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm trying to think of anybody else who we haven't mentioned on any of the previous videos.
Meet anybody?
We met.
Meeting Billy DeBose and having a picture taken with him was nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Billy DeBose was awesome.
We did see his panel. We went to his panel, which was very inspiring.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, what I liked about his panel was that he was more prepared than a lot of the other panelists, I felt. Because, again, most of the panels were very much so like, all right, we're going to do this thing, we're going to talk about this thing, and then we'll go however it goes. Like, the 50th anniversary Gamera panel was shockingly underprepared.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it was still really, really entertaining, but
that's why
did not plan at all.
Well, I think the unpreparedness, personally, and I think this is a testament to Andres, I actually thought that kind of, like, unpreparedness helped a little bit, because I was like, it felt very casual and kind of laid back. That's how it felt to me. It might not have been that way for you guys, but I personally liked it.
I enjoy that about it.
Maybe I just finally pulled that stick out of my ass, and now I'm just going to start beating people to death with it. I don't know.
Again,
it definitely made me feel a lot more. It made me feel more confident in how I pulled off my panel, because that was like, I think we didn't really went to a lot of panels before Friday came along. I think, was the Kaiju Comics panel like the first panel we all went to, or was there something else beforehand?
No, we went to the opening ceremony.
Okay, there was that.
No, that was after that. That was
that was very professional.
That was after the comics panel?
Wait, was?
Yeah, opening ceremony was that night.
Yeah, okay. So
I think the first panel we went to, because the first day nothing was going on until later anyway.
Right, because you spend most of the day, like the beginning of the day, with breakfast and the artist alley. So we didn't went to any panels. And so I didn't get a good vibe as to what, how panels were run, because it's been a year since last year, so I couldn't remember how those panels were organized.
It feels like we didn't go to as many panels this year. We didn't.
I know the second.
I felt like I went through to quite a few of them personally.
I feel like
I know I went through, and I'm not saying this to be mean. I went through more than you guys did.
Well, of course.
Yeah, sure.
But I felt like I was satisfied with the number of panels I went to, because I feel like I went to all the ones that I was interested in.
Yeah.
I'm glad
over like the schedule of the panels, and it was like, if anything jumped out at us, we'd be like, all right, let's go to that fucking thing.
I'm glad the one thing I'm glad that we didn't do this year, that we tried to do last year, and even then it didn't work, was I'm glad we didn't try and upload the videos as we'd made them this year, because that was a major influence of stress for me last year, was like how I was going to get those videos up and when.
Uh-huh.
And then at a certain point I just gave up, just like, I'm just going to upload them when I get back, and I had a way better time.
Uh-huh.
This year we went in with that mindset of we'll upload the videos after we get back. So I was able to just kind of kick back and relax.
That was mainly just because the internet fucking was awful.
Well, that too. That's why we didn't do the commentary on Planet of the Apes, is because
half the time we would be down in the main floor, like at panels and shit, and we were like, hey, we should do a video about this, and then we get back up to the room, we'd be like, fuck it.
No, we didn't do as many videos this year either. And again, we did videos.
Well, we might have. It's just not as many because we also did the Tries video.
That's true.
That too, yeah. We basically did the same amount of video content as we did last year. It's just that it doesn't feel like as much because we covered more stuff in each video.
Instead of doing a podcast at Bill's house, we tried candy.
Exactly. Yeah. Then we did the road show. Then we did one video.
Two varying degrees of success.
If you think about it, if you include all that, we kind of did more because we only did one video from the convention last year.
We did the Tries, we did the road podcast.
And we broke it up into two parts, and I'm not doing that this year.
We did one podcast at the con. Are you going to post the Genesis review before this, Bill?
I'm not sure yet. Maybe.
If you do, that'll be 5 total for this year.
I'm not gonna call it as part of this series, but I'm gonna include it in this line of videos. So I'm not gonna call it Road Trip to G-Fest part whatever though, because it's not gonna come out in that proper order.
Road Trip to Genesis.
Road Trip to Genesis. That's exactly what the video will be called. Nobody will watch it because nobody will have any idea what it is, or maybe more people will watch it because they're like, "What the fuck is this? Is this some religious thing, or is it a video game thing?"
I don't know.
Or
confusing podcast titles haven't worked for us so far.
No, not at all. I'm generally opposed to them. I try to be as the name of the show and then whatever goofy crap we come up with after. So yeah, other people that we want to mention. Again, just another big shout out to Andrew Blue Eyes. He was also a ton of fun to hang out with, and it was cool to get him on a video. That was fun. I'm trying to think of who else.
The person that we met the last day before we left.
Who did we meet?
That's really, really vague.
He was in the artist alley. You bought that Gamma print from him.
Oh yeah, that guy. Fucking.
Oh, Nick Shev?
Shev. Yeah, Chevrolet.
Yeah, Chevrolet. We talked about this in the vlog, how I have no idea how to pronounce his last name.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, I bought that Gamma print from him. It's fantastic.
It's got to be Chevrolet. There's no other way you could pronounce that.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I forgot about the 30. Nick, we hung out with Nick Chevrolet for a little bit. Again, another super nice guy, and another really talented artist. I bought his 50th anniversary Gamma print over Matt Frank's and Jeff Zornow's, which kind of felt blasphemous, but I was like, I like this one. I kind of
wish that we had met him earlier in the con.
Yeah.
We kind of passed him by our first few times through the artist alley.
Well,
and met all these other.
The artist alley, we were so just focused on we got to meet up with Martinez and talk about this panel that Andres is doing.
We met up with Martinez and we said hi to Biggie, and then.
Oh yeah, we were like, Biggie, dude, we love you, and then we moved on.
And he was like, enjoy your breakfast, guys, and then we
that was hilarious.
And we met what's his name up top.
John Belletti Jr.?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Met him.
Super nice guy as well.
I didn't get...
Friends him on Facebook, as well as Keith Foster and Christopher Martinez.
And then at the table right next to him, I had a conversation with a fellow Southerner.
Yeah, that guy.
Whose name I did not learn.
I didn't get his card. I feel like a piece of shit because I asked him, I was like, oh, do you do commissions? He was like, yeah, and I'm like, cool. I might come back and get that.
Because I saw that picture on his table of Godzilla versus Pikachu, and I was like, oh, you're that guy. He's like,
oh, that guy.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the other thing when you go to Artist Alley, it's like, you see all these Godzilla fan artists, and then you just see random pictures like, oh, I've seen that online before. I used that in a video once.
I never recognize their names, and then I see their work, and I'm like, oh, that guy.
John Belletti Jr., he did this awesome Godzilla vs. Gamera print, which had both the Katakawa or the Dai, rather, and Toho logos on the side of each monster, and then they were just like facing each other down. I've seen that all over the internet, so
yeah,
it's cool to see that. And then there was also
it's like you can put a face behind that pencil.
Well, yeah, you realize that these guys do more stuff than just that one image that everybody shares around stuff. Like there was also that person who we met up with, and again, I don't remember who it was, who had that Heisei Godzilla print of Godzilla coming out of the water, about to breathe his atomic breath. You guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. There were several prints on
that one. I've used in a bunch of videos, and I don't remember who the artist was, but I was like, oh my god, you're that guy. Videos I have made have featured your art.
There were several people.
I'm gonna contact my lawyers.
There were several people like on the last day that I saw like their art, and I was like, oh, I would buy that if I wasn't out of money.
Yeah, we were. I'll speak from personal experiences. I spent way more money this year, and became a problem towards the end.
I found the guy on DeviantArt. Apparently, his name is Jared P. Faust. So,
who did what?
Godzilla versus Pikachu.
Okay.
He was doing like that awesome like watercoloring.
The watercolors guy, yeah. Okay, gotcha. No idea who did the other print that I just mentioned, right?
No clue, no.
Well, fuck. Oh, also Bobby E. We met up with Bobby E. again briefly.
Yeah.
We have a long conversation with him this year, like we did last year.
And he recognized us instantly. That was.
I was like really humbled by that because like we walked up to him, and I was like, "Hey, Bob, man, it's good to see you." He's like, "Hey guys, it's good to see you again." And we're like,
well, not right in front of him. We waited until he walked away, and then we just...
Well, we kind of held our pee in, and then we walked away, and we both pissed ourselves because of how, like, oh my god, he remembered who we were! Because we had a long conversation. He was one of the guys we met last year where it was like we realized how humble and nice all these people were.
Oh, and then fucking we saw the dragon on the table. And, like, it brought the whole fucking thing full circle, because last year we saw him drawing this thing by hand, just like, he's like, oh, I'm just doing a little doodling, and now the thing's, like, fully colored, and it's beautiful, and it's in art galleries, and he's selling it for $20 a pop or whatever.
$7 a soda. No, yeah. It was cool to see him again as well.
Oh shit! What's the guy's name, Andres, from the Artist Alley? Older guy, Joe something.
Oh yeah. Can't forget to mention him. He was one of the other. It was him, Keith, and Kyle Yao.
He's the one who.
The kaiju-sized Avengers panel with Godzilla fighting the Avengers.
He's the one who most of the things on his table were crossover images, and I mentioned to him the idea that I've always wanted to see Pulgasari versus Yongari, and he wrote that idea down. And I'm telling you, if I go back next year and he has that, I'm going to buy it.
Well, no, you should get one for free and then get commissions because it was your idea.
Yeah, you're right.
I know,
hear
right?
it from my small town lawyer. And then
I want to bring up Stephen Schilling.
Yeah.
Who Stephen Schilling was the guy that helped promote the Godzilla saga a bit. We also he has his own kind of like Godzilla Gamera thing working in the works. Also, he's just a hilarious guy. He absolutely hilarious guy. He's also an artist. He was in the artist gallery. I talked to him a little bit, though he does a lot more kind of like obscure, dark stuff.
is that the guy you were talking to? What was it? The last day when we were? No, it was the day before that when we were talking to Martinez and them about something, and then as we walked out, you were standing there talking to somebody.
No, that wasn't him.
Oh, that wasn't him.
No, his name is.
Chris. That was that guy who recognized you from the video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his name is Chris. No, Stephen Schilling. I met him at that. I met Stephen Schilling at that dinner party we went to.
Right.
And I was talking to him there and everything. No, he's just a really cool guy, and I was glad that I got to meet him because I basically am kind of looking at him kind of like how Andres looks at Biggie. I guess if I was to compare anything,
hungry, loving eyes.
With the hungry, loving eyes, no. I mean, like in terms of like, this guy is kind of like I wouldn't mind, He's kind of like an inspiration, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I feel that. All right, so let's talk about celebrities briefly.
Sorry.
What's the bearded guy's name? The bearded guy, the fucking he's the first guy you see when you come into the artist alley.
Tyler?
That was Tyler.
Yeah.
We were talking about him.
You weren't here when we talked about him.
Okay,
He was the first guy we talked about.
Oh, he was? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you have anything you want to say about him before we move on?
No, I was just trying to remember his name.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just Tyler, because his name tag didn't have a last name on it. It was just like Tyler, and I was like,
it was just really ominously
Tyler.
And there was one person that I really wanted to talk to, but we didn't get the chance. It was C. Martin Croker. He was the Cartoon Network artist who apparently worked on Space Ghost. Or no, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, I believe, or Aqua Teen.
Yeah. I saw him.
I didn't know he was there.
He was on the table right next to Foster.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like you see everybody with this kaiju art, and then you see this guy who has pictures of Space Ghost. I'm like, hold on here.
You guys were talking about that, and I had walked into that conversation after it was halfway done, so I had no idea what you were talking about. I didn't know that was who that guy was. That's awesome.
And then it's Tyler. I think it was Tyler who pointed out yeah, that guy worked on Space Ghost.
Well, no, I mentioned something to Biggie. That he should have an animated series or something, and at one point Keith is like, you should talk to that guy down there. He's done animated series, and he was telling us who he was. And I was like,
yeah, it was almost like a weird a weird detective thing where it was like, oh yeah, you need this information, go talk to this guy. It was being passed along Artist Alley. That was hilarious.
And they were like, we should talk to that guy. We didn't talk to that guy.
We didn't talk to that guy. We should have talked to that guy.
Well, it's also just I still have this, despite having gone last year, where it's you want to just go up to these people and just start a conversation, but you're like,
right, I do feel that too.
I don't really want to buy something though.
Oh,
so
that too.
I tended to not do that because I was like, I just don't want to walk up to this guy and try to start a conversation and then walk away without buying anything because I think that's kind of a dick move on my part. But I did it a couple times.
That's like when we went up to talk to Robert Scott Field. There was the moment of hesitation.
That was different, though. That was because, A, he was actually, he's he's actually a legit Godzilla actor. And also, B, because we had made some jokes we weren't terribly proud of about his voice last year.
The fact that he doesn't know about us.
I know, but it doesn't matter. To me, it's for some reason I think he's going to find out. And I'm like, then my life is going to be over for some reason.
That didn't even factor into why I was hesitant. I was just like, even though I went to this thing last year, you'd think I'd be a little bit better about like just going up to these fucking people.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Instead, I'm like, it's Robert Scotfield. And then I just had that moment of clarity where I turn around to Adam and I'm like, this is stupid. Let's go talk to him.
Excuse me, I was the one that finally convinced you to say, let's go, because I remember walking forward and saying, let's go.
Well, no, I had this fucking moment where I was like, wait a minute, this is stupid. It's not like he has a fucking
I do remember you saying
crowd of people around him like Don Fry had last year. Because Don Fry was surrounded by...
That you can see. Maybe they're invisible. Or probably not.
My God. Was that what I punched in the face?
My God, he has a squadron of Jim Hadar soldiers. No,
Oh, no. We need to just take their drug away and we're all set.
Yeah, the Catcher Cell White. We gotta hide the Catcher Cell White, and then they'll go crazy and die.
Yeah, they'll just go nuts and just kill themselves.
There was one more. There was one more person.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, this person I didn't get a chance to talk to during the convention, but it was during Monday when we were all packing up. I happened to run into Chris Elchison at like the last minute when we were all getting our suitcases down to the main lobby. I just chatted with him a little bit. He remembered.
And I was running from bathroom to bathroom in a desperate attempt again not to die.
Yeah. And I just chatted with him, and luckily he remembered me, and we kind of talked a little bit of what we were doing at the con. So I told him, I was like, it's a shame we didn't get to talk to each other.
I was very glad that he did not remember me, because we never met. But
right,
okay.
That would have been weird if he did remember you. That would have been a moment of like, wait a second.
Oh, I fucking said hi to August Ragone in the elevator. We were in an elevator with August Ragone, and I was like,
he's the guy I wish I could.
And I was like,
yeah, but it was like, I guess it was another one of those things where it's like, well, I don't want to get his book now, per se. But,
well, yeah, because it was like,
well,
I didn't want to go up to him when we were in the deal. He wasn't in the dealer's room, I think, at any moment when we were there.
Okay, yeah.
He was in...
Because every time I looked at this table, there was nobody there.
We were going to floor 9, he was going to floor 10, so we get to our floor, we're getting off, and I'm like, this is not going to be another Tomoko Eye moment. And I turned around and I was just like, good job at the panel earlier. And I was like, oh, glad you enjoyed it. And then he went away and I was like, all right, cool.
It would have been better if you would have gone, hey, you're August Ragone, and then walked away.
And then later when we were walking to the liquor store and we were behind him and his posse, there was a moment where like he turned around and I think he saw me and I was like, this probably thinks I'm fucking stalking him now.
Well, it was a nice feeling to know that Robert Scotfield recognized me and remembered the name. That was a really nice feeling.
It was the same fucking day. It's like 1 hour after I said hi to him on the elevator. We're like walking down the street behind him and his fucking people.
Imagine if you were like, hey man, you know that Kaiju Noir fella? I think he's a better job at monitoring his panel. Just crush his spirit. He's like,
why would I lie to August Ragone?
Dangly parts.
Also met Vaughn in an elevator. He was like 8. I would have never guessed that.
Do you guys want to talk anything else about the actual celebrity guests who were there in terms of people who were there from Japan? Because
I really wish we got a chance to meet the composer of GMK and the Gamma Trilogy.
Oh, Kawatone, yeah.
Kawatone.
When was he even there? I know.
I think he just showed up to the concert and like nothing else.
Oh, he was busy the rest of the time, fucking scouring the sewers for.
Well, the man looks like Japanese Tommy Chong. He was probably in his room somewhere, like, getting wrecked.
What'd I give my dog, man?
What did I give my dog, man?
Sitting in his room, never owned a dog.
No, but he wasn't at the opening ceremonies, and I never saw him.
No, and I thought maybe he didn't show up, but, like, they've said his name and everything. Like, he's here, and I'm like, where?
So I think he just, like, showed up at the concert to hear people perform his work, and then he went away.
Oh, you know what? I think they mentioned that because the concert was happening so close to the opening ceremonies, he had to go and prepare in advance. So he was there already at the Pickwick when the opening ceremonies were going on.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I think that's why he wasn't there.
Those autograph lines are ridiculous, you guys.
They weren't as bad this year as they were last year because there was no Don Fryer or Koichi Kawakita. There was no one quite necessarily of that fame. I mean, the guy who played the other Kaneko, I forget his first name, sadly, who played the Red Ranger on Gal Ranger, he had a pretty gigantic line. Yeah. And then Adam, the director who you met, again, I forget his name, Mizuka. Yeah, him. He also was pretty sought after for that reason. You met him, though.
He was an entertaining man to talk to.
So go ahead and... What happened when you talked to him?
Well, I just basically said, hey, you know, I love... Specifically, I said Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS. And I love that kind of military-esque style. And, you know, he just... That was basically it, really. I was just saying I really admired that, and I really admired his work, and it inspired me. That kind of style, and that kind of bringing back the old kind of style of cinematography. And he, you know, he was really humble. He was really humble because it just surprises me how different in culture. That was when it really hit me, the total difference in culture between Japan and here, because Japan does not have that star.
Oh no, they talk
that America has, and you know that goes double with directors. Directors are not recognized like they are here.
No, not at all.
J.D. Lee gave something of a speech about that last year during what was it? Orientation, because he was talking about how these people just like they don't get any recognition back home, and so it's like it amazes them. They come over here, and that's why fucking Shinpei Hayashia now is like he's like I want to premiere my next movie at G-Fest because he came last year and everybody fucking like ate his shit up.
Know who I am. He's like these fucking idiots.
Same thing.
It just reaffirms that a lot of these kaiju movies aren't mainly made for Japan. I mean, Japan has an audience for them, but they're mainly made for the West.
Yeah,
we're the ones that eat that shit up.
We are. They mention that in the Hail of the King documentary, which we'll talk about in a little bit more in depth. But they talk about how there isn't really that kind of growing audience in Japan for kaiju and tokusatsu stuff that there is in America, where it's like. When they make that stuff,
there, that's the thing.
Yeah, when they make that stuff in Japan,
with the release of Godzilla 2014 and Pacific Rim, those two films have opened eyes to a lot of people.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, the stuff is making more money in America than it is in its native country.
These poor Americans now who think that the word kaiju was invented by the movie Pacific Rim. I
haven't encountered too many, actually, but I know you guys have.
I don't think kaiju was as mainstream as a word here in the United States until Pacific Rim, because introduced the term.
No, before I got connected to the whole fandom on the internet, I didn't. When I was a kid, I never called them kaiju.
No, I never called them kaiju. I know Borazard did, but I never did.
I called them giant monsters. Occasionally, I might describe them as like Godzilla monsters, even if it was like from a fucking Gamera movie. That was like the only way that I could articulate like the Japanese ones.
Right, yeah.
And nowadays, like, you see the word kaiju, anything that's, like, tokusatsu related, you would always, whether it's, like, an Ultraman release or a Spider-Man, and something talking about Spider-Man or Johnny Sacco, they always tend to fit in the word kaiju in whatever descriptions on the box or whatever news article you see about, or like Die Ranger, they'll say, oh, you know, kaijus or whatever. Even the new Godzilla game refers to the monsters as kaijus.
Well, I don't mind that at all. You know, it's like it's I kind of have the same opinion of this whole thing as I do with Godzilla '98 and introducing a lot of people to the real Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla in 1998 introduced quite a few people to the actual Godzilla. You know, I can't hate it. You know, in fact, I respect it for that quite a bit. I know that sounds blasphemous, but you know, it's just how it is. Pacific Rim introduced so many people to the term kaiju, and they're like, what is this? And they'll type it up, and they'll do their own research. I mean, that's how I found out a lot of my shit. They do their own research, and they discover stuff, which leads them to discovering more stuff, which leads them to discover this. I remember when I first I was like, who is this man who directed all these? Who directed Destroy All Monsters? It was Destroy All Monsters that made me ask that. And it was like Ishiro Honda. Oh, he directed all the originals. Oh, he directed all these movies that I loved. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Right.
You do your own research, you find out your own stuff, and you just learn that way. So that's why I will always, I will always respect Pacific Rim and Godzilla 2014, especially for introducing all these people to all these new concepts and these, well, not new concepts, but to them these new ideas that open their eyes. Really,
it's really sort of educated people on the vocabulary more than anything.
Yeah,
everybody's always known about these giant monster movies being a thing, but it's like, it was like, what's a kaiju? And you know, it's not as common now because it's been fucking 2 years since Pacific Rim came out. But when the movie first came out, I can't imagine how many lectures I must have given that summer.
Yeah.
to
definitely.
random.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I feel like Pacific Rim introduced that term, and then Godzilla 2014 showed all right, it's not specific to Pacific Rim. It's a general genre term.
Pacific Rim.
So I think that was kind of what happened.
Godzilla never really used
that made kaiju hipsters of us all, and I'm like, I was in before it was cool, and I'm going to explain to you what it is.
No, Gorazard was the ultimate hipster. He was always calling them kaiju.
Fucking Electro David's just like, hey, that's a kaiju, and that's not. And it's like, all right, Dave, calm down.
Yes.
Go back to your
He
cage.
also, apparently grew up watching Ultraman, and I'm like, where did you get that? What kind of amazing fucking channel do you have in Las Vegas?
I guess he mentioned that his parents or his dad grew up with it in El Salvador, because I guess Ultraman was kind of popular in Latino countries.
Yeah, he is kind of big in South America. A lot of Japanese shit, actually.
I thought you were going to say specifically El Salvador, which would have been really weird because it's one of the smaller South American countries.
A lot of Japanese shit really gets a second life in South America for some reason.
Oh yeah, Mazinger Z, from what I researched, is really popular in places like Mexico and stuff.
I think something about
Andres, isn't one of your bigger tokusatsu DVDs from Argentina or whatever?
No, that's Malaysia.
I think maybe it just translates well because when you have a tokusatsu hero and it's basically a dude in a colorful costume and a mask. It's not all that different from a luchador in terms of the way it looks.
Well, pretty much. I guess if you looked at a luchador movie, that's basically what they have with Golden Bat and whatnot.
Yeah, so I guess it just translates easy.
It's like, yeah, we do crazy shit here as well. We can get behind this.
Whereas in America, our idea of a superhero is fucking Batman. So we look at Ultraman a little different.
Darkness down now.
Yeah, well, we look at Ultraman and we're like, because it's like that. The tokusatsu henshin heroes are all kind of weirdly they don't put on their costumes. They change into different forms to become superheroes. Mm-hmm. And we're not really familiar with that idea outside of a couple of key heroes. So it wasn't really until Power Rangers until that idea became mainstream.
All those years ago, they had that video game, Beautiful Joe, and now I understand the joke all these years later.
Right. All right, well, let's move on to some of the other panels that we went to, mainly screening panels. And let's talk about Kaiju Gaiden a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Because we meant to do a whole separate video on Kaiju Gaiden, but we never got the chance, so we're going to cover it here.
This year's Kaiju Gaiden preview was even better than the one that we saw last year.
Oh, yeah, the one last year was good. This one was just knocked out of the ballpark.
They showed some different shit. There was some stuff that they showed last year that they didn't show this year, like the thing with the giant frog.
That weird, that toy commercial with the giant Gamera-looking monsters.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to do in an effort to kind of condense this down and get to the really good bits. I want everybody to bring up the thing from Kaiju Gaiden that they most want to talk about, and then we'll talk about the big stuff that doesn't get brought up because of that. So,
okay.
Adam, you were the one who really wanted to do the Kaiju Gaiden video, so what was the project that really got you excited and wanted to talk and everything?
Well, it was the whole, it was just so much shit that went on at this panel, or what, I don't know what else to call it, screening.
Yeah.
No, it's a panel.
I mean, the one thing that I really got me wanting to talk about it was the 28-minute trailer, if you want to call it a trailer, to Wolfman vs. Godzilla, because I didn't realize how big of a fucking project that was until I watched that trailer, because there's dozens upon dozens of extras there. They've got military-grade vehicles moving around.
Yeah, it's like
I'm like, this is a big fucking thing, and I didn't realize it was that big. I thought it was just this tiny thingy that just kind of exploded. No, this movie's fucking big. But the other thing I really wanted to talk about was just some of the badass ideas, like Matango 2. It's basically Matango Attack of the Mushroom People meets Aliens.
Yeah, there's a lot of. They use the soundtrack from Aliens as well.
And they use it's very John Carpenter's The Thing inspired title card.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they showed in that legendary Wolfman preview, though, gave me new insight to the plot of this fucking movie.
Yeah, it has a story apparently.
Because last year they showed like.
Because I didn't know what to expect.
Last year they showed what, maybe like 5 minutes of it. It was like the transformation scene and then some other stuff.
Yeah.
This year it was like 28 minutes of.
And also, it was in way worse quality last year. The quality of the stuff
they've been.
Oddly enough, there were a lot of day for night shots where it's like there are these shots that are clearly set in the day, but there's like this blue filter over it.
Well, granted, Ishiro Honda did that too. So.
Well, exactly, and that was something I thought was really cool about a lot of those Kaiju Gaiden movies was that a lot of the ones that like Matango 2 and Atragon 2. I looked at the film quality of those. And Matango 2 more than Atragon, but like it looked like it was at home right next to the original in terms of the film stock and the grain and the color palette. And aside from a couple of shots where it's like you could tell like this was clearly people from the 1980s in this fan film, but aside from that, a lot of the suitimation and the models and the color palette,
especially the models.
Yeah, I
feel
feel like I was watching
it was funny.
I feel like I was watching a 60s monster movie. Especially that Daimajin one, too.
Oh, God. It was so funny because the first two things...
I mean, obviously it doesn't look as good as the real Daimajin, but it looked almost as good.
The only problem with
watching Dylan fanboy.
The first two things that they showed in that fucking Kaiju Gaiden preview were Matango 2 and Atragon 2. Both of those things we saw a little bit of last year, but Adam was sitting over there going, oh my God! And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that's cute. And then they're like, hey, now we have a Daimajin thing, and I'm like, oh my God!
Yeah, so funny.
Right.
Oh, it felt like the Daimajin excuse me, Daimajin Fukatsu trailer kind of went on a bit too long.
Well, my opinion with Daimajin 1 was I didn't get as excited about that because to me it just had a lot of like Daimajin, like, oh, now he's walking this way, oh, now he's walking this way.
Yeah, basically.
He wasn't destroying anything.
The trailer
like
that excited.
That's what brought me into Daimajin was seeing the trailers of him like lifting up a building and tossing it down.
I was just so happy.
Yeah, he devastates those landscapes in those original movies, and in this one he was just kind of like, he lifts him up and he throws it back down. As he
Daimajin.
But there wasn't as much. There wasn't just as much total devastation in that as there was in the original movies. And again, it's a fan film.
To be fair, I'd like to think that modern buildings are a little bit harder to knock down than.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
Maybe he was just out of his element.
God.
He's just out of his element. Okay, he's got to adjust. All right, he's gonna sleep.
Because Daimajin doesn't have a set ability.
No,
like, he doesn't have a set amount of power.
Like,
he just does whatever he wants, and that's part of
Nor do I think that he should. I think that that's part of Daimajin is that you don't know what the fuck he's gonna do.
Part of the awe of Daimajin is that it's not is he gonna take this shit apart. It's how is he gonna do it. And at what point is somebody going to get nailed to a conveniently created cross?
He's like the ultimate gangster. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. I'll fucking kill all.
And also the face on their Daimajin, again, of course they didn't have the original actor, but the face on their Daimajin wasn't nearly as terrifying as the original.
No, it wasn't.
But again, just the whole concept of, hey, in the 1980s, I sat down and said, I'm going to make a fan film for like Matango. That's fucking awesome. Or I guess
the fucking Matango trailer was just fucking awesome because it looked like it had a lot of suspense in it. Which, first off, you guys have to watch. Clearly, I bet you that's what they were doing. They were like, let's make Aliens, but with Matango. Because the first Matango movie is nothing but like a horror suspense film. And, a very good horror suspense film.
So like
Alien. And then all of a sudden this movie's like, okay, well, let's add guns to that and see what happens. And
this time it's war.
Fucking A. Like, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, a bunch of, like, machine guns versus mushroom people, mushroom zombies. I'm like, dude, we got The Last of Us right here.
Matango, on this island, no one can hear you scream.
No, right. I thought, it's just, again, just the idea that people in the 80s thought to do stuff like this is really cool.
Well, I have to say, the one that let me down the most, though, was the Atragon one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh god, Manda looks so bad.
Manda looks so bad. The UFOs look so bad.
We were just constantly turning to like, oh my god, look at the Manda puppet. Like Reptilicus is going, really, dude? Like that's all you got?
Yeah. The fucking flying bananas.
Well, the thing is, those are from Atragon, but in Atragon they're black.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But just like the idea of like, so we're gonna make this serious science fiction film, and we're gonna have flying bananas in it.
Right.
And they actually called them.
Amazing.
They actually called them flying bananas. They're like, cue the frying bananas.
So not only are we gonna do this, but we're also gonna really draw attention to the fact of like, yeah, you heard right, we got flying fucking bananas.
Hey, Mr. Director, why did you decide to change the color of the UFOs from black to yellow? I wanted them to look like fucking bananas.
Because
I fucking hate bananas.
I hate bananas.
Because it's bananas, BANANAS. And
oh shit, the banana. Oh god.
So that,
and you were making fun of me for making the All About That Bass parody.
No, listen. That is an important song. It taught me how to spell banana.
Shit bananas.
So what are the ones they showed?
The Atricon trailer was just like 5 minutes of people praying, and then Manda attacking the city, and then bananas.
There was that one shot that bugged me, and it didn't bug me because I knew, like, again, this is a fan film of the 80s, but it's like, they're on this military boat, and clearly it's just like some guys on like a normal boat, and just with like some cheap military uniforms on. I thought that was really funny. I was looking at that, and I'm like, clearly this guy was like,
it reminded me of like Don't Tread on Me, my movie Don't Tread on Me. That's what it
Well, it's like, hey, can we borrow this boat for like an hour?
Sure.
Like, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It reminded Adam of Don't Tread on Me, except it was made by adults.
Except it was made by adults, and we made that in 7th and 8th grade. And then there was that fucking Chinese one.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
my god!
That was like
it was so good.
That was one of the last ones they showed, right? That was like right before.
Yeah. And they showed the whole short in its entirety.
Well, here's the thing. First off, I knew I was gonna love it as soon as everyone starts laughing at the alien. And then the other thing that I liked was that they pilot the fucking mech with steering wheels.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
all like SPD style, where it's like, hey,
my God.
so we've got this humanoid mech, let's pilot it with steering.
And this robot that the Chinese military sends out to fight this alien is essentially a Chinese version of Giant Robo from Johnny Sacco. And what's really cool
it was very much so kind of an homage to that.
And there's even a little boy who has a Giant Robo toy in his hand, so it's like kind of obvious.
I thought that was too
Can we talk
obvious.
about
I thought it was funny, but like they cut back and forth between the robot and then Giant Robo, and I'm like, I get it. It's a reference to that.
Can we talk about how fucking cute the evil alien is?
Oh my god! Well, that was the whole joke. They were like, "This is fucking cute." Like some of the apparently some of the stuff that you see on like TVs in the background says "cute alien arrives in Beijing," and stuff like that.
And none of the Chinese like take him seriously. They just like they don't even consider him a threat at all before he starts.
They're all like standing around him like ooh Gucci Gucci goo, and then he starts blowing them up and fucking Bill.
And so like, hey, maybe this isn't such a cute thing.
The moment this thing pops up on screen, Bill's like, my god, it's Chicken Little.
And you thought that was ridiculous. What the fucking main protagonist turns into is
so basically this is like a parody of Ultraman, where it's like
and it was amazing. It was great that I had the experience with Ultraman that I did at Andre's house and also at G-Fest, because I'm watching this and it's like, you see, this is how Ultraman would really happen.
It's
where
like, hey, listen,
I'm going to hijack your body and use it to fight a giant monster.
And the protagonist, he's like, wait a minute, hold on now.
Yeah, and I love how the guy's like, no, I don't want to do that, and he's like, tough titty.
He's like, too bad.
Yeah.
Spread your butt cheeks, I'm coming in.
Yeah, he entered through the ass. It was hilarious.
Because also when the guy was naked, it reminded me of that scene from DBZ where Vegeta visits Goku in the afterlife, in the Frieza saga, and Vegeta's naked, and it's like, why are you naked?
I guess it's like an anime thing or whatever. I don't know.
Do they just love their naked ass?
Maybe they think nudity is like a symbol of purity or whatever. I don't know.
It's not like you lose your clothes when you go to the afterlife in the DBZ universe. Everyone there runs around looking exactly like they did when they died.
But what's weird is like, shit, what was I gonna say?
The whole fucking movie is weird, I think.
Okay, so yeah, it was like that whole thing where instead of turning into, what you imagine to be, the guy turns into Ultraman. No, he turns into like this, apparently the spirit of this like ancient Chinese general, and he's fucking awesome.
Apparently it's a famous Chinese general that I've never heard of because I'm not Chinese. But
what?
I know, shocking. But he turns into this thing.
And it's just the dude.
It's literally the dude.
He looks like a kabuki actor.
He did, yeah.
The fight that him and the Chicken Little thing have, who was not so little, by the way, it's fucking amazing.
Yes. Oh, I remember. So it's like this ancient general warlord guy. He's like, I chose you because you are a hero of true heart and passion. And then you see like the guy flashes back to his life, and he's just some like materialistic obsessed dude who has
he's a real piece of shit. Basically, he's kind of an asshole.
He's basically one of the SOS. He's basically like half of the SOS crew.
I've always talked about how one day I'm going to reboot Ultraman and have Andres play Ultraman. It's kind of like how I would do it, where Andres is just
Andres, you are pure and clean. What?
Huh?
Yeah, and he's naked and he just gets violated by Ultraman.
I love the guy, whatever his name is, who's like been assembling all this footage. The guy who's behind Kaiju Gaiden.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Really cool guy.
Because the way he described it before he played it was he was talking about so see, all these different countries have done tokusatsu, but of course Japan is the masters of it. But there's one country that does it like more insane than anybody else.
I was thinking Korea?
But he goes...
I was thinking Korea, but then he said China, and I was like, oh, no.
Oh,
he seemed so, like, mournful. He's like, all right, I'm going to show you something, and you're never going to be the same after I show it. I'm going to show you this Chinese tokusatsu.
The build-up was so worth it.
Great.
Also, I gotta say, this one had surprisingly quite a lot of social commentary in terms of, like, the state of China, its people, and the government.
It was kind of weird. Because whenever we watch something with a communist country in it, they're always portrayed as like the crazy villains.
In the end, all of a sudden, like I saw the main protagonist like on a bridge, and I was like, oh no, they're not going to recreate that scene, are they?
Yeah. Oh god, that was.
And then you see the tank, and then you see the tanks like, what the fuck is this shit? And I was like, oh my god, they are recreating it. They're recreating the guy standing in front of the tanks. You know what happened to that guy, right?
He got ran over?
He got fucking run over.
Yeah, he got run down.
But
it was supposedly but I like that last shot where it's like behind him is like the shadow of that general guy, so it's like he's gonna fight against communism.
Yeah, he's gonna fight against
the thing is they're all wearing these old 1980s outdated uniforms.
Yeah.
From pure communist China, and I'm like,
why did they roll the tanks up single file? It's really weirdly specific.
This is fucking great.
I loved that one.
Yeah, those old school commie uniforms where they basically just look like Asian people wearing Russian outfits.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I love how the government's like, there's nothing to see here, just go about your lives. Yeah, there's no aliens, it's all a test.
That first robot that they send to fight the fucking Chicken Little is the most communist thing ever.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Down to the overly patriotic music. It was
like that old school Jaeger from Pacific Rim, the Mark I that the Russians
used. Ultra Alpha.
It almost Andres, it almost reminded me of the Bolt Gundam. That's how communist. That's how communist it was.
And I love how there's that patriotic speech, and there's that guy who's like a big he just suck up to like the government, and that guy ends up like being useless in battle as a pilot.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm trying to think, what were the other ones that we wanted to mention?
There was that one called EO, and I don't remember anything.
EO. Oh yeah, it was one made by a bunch of students who were. It was basically
one of the students was there, like in the panel, and then the guy who ran Kaiju Guy was like, "I wasn't going to show you this, but here you go." And he plugged
tits.
Tits.
Titties.
There's lots of titties.
Speaking of titties, remember that also that other short.
Why are we talking about titties?
There's that other short with a giant ultra like that like Sailor Moon type girl who was fighting a monster.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
What the fuck was that?
She didn't even
that was David's inner fantasies.
Oh, okay.
I felt like I was just like, you ever saw like a fly? You ever saw like a fly on the wall in the middle of somebody else's conversation? That's how that movie made me feel. Like I was listening to somebody else's conversation, and I was just like listening to them talk about something I didn't understand.
She didn't even have a transformation. She just got big.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So many upskirt shots.
Oh god, so I was about to say, yeah, there was like a bunch of times where you could see. Clearly, she was wearing like some kind of bloomers or something, where like it wasn't just her panties, but it would have been if they hadn't prepared for that. That was fucked up.
Can you imagine, like, we wouldn't hear David, we wouldn't hear the end of it with David. He'd be going like, ha 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 ha.
David would have put himself into a catatonic state if he would have watched that movie. He would have been so pleased by it.
I can't believe you've never gotten to the part of You Only Live Twice with all the Asian people, with all the Asian women giving Bond a bath.
Yeah, that would be like his favorite scene.
You English men are very hairy.
He once told me that he hadn't finished that movie. I was like, how far did you get? He's like, I made it to the sumo wrestling scene. I was like, dude.
That's not even like, that's like just the beginning.
I know, I'm like, you missed what would have been your favorite part.
Alright, so, just to wrap up on Kaiju Gaiden, I know we already talked about Godzilla
Wait, what about the certain one with,
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about, you know.
Oh no, we're gonna get to go one.
No.
Oh, no, I wasn't gonna talk about that one.
Fuck the ass scratching.
The fucking Ultraman
That's what I was talking about, the fucking butt scratcher. But...
Oh yeah, we can talk about that one quick.
Butt scratcher.
Butt scratcher?
Get your butt scratcher here.
That one made me laugh because I always pictured, you know how Ultraman, whenever he first like lights up, there's that low angle shot where he's like holding his arm up in the air.
He's basically
and,
doing the hands on his hip Superman pose.
Yeah, he kind of pose. I've always pictured him suddenly reaching down and scratching his ass really quick. And suddenly that happened, and I lost it. I fucking lost it.
You know what that
it's just funny to see like a Japanese comedian's take on all this stuff, because I'm not really familiar with a lot of Japanese comedy.
It's very over the top.
He doesn't transform.
And that's very much so what this was. It was like, isn't this shit fucked up? And he's just drinking beer. And
I love how he doesn't transform with like a beta capsule or anything. He just drinks some beer and then fucking transforms
he fucking transforms. And then also they got like the whole scaling thing down where it's like in kaiju movies they never pay attention to how big or small these monsters are, because suddenly he picks up like Tokyo Tower and it's like this little tiny thingy.
And he starts beating the other monster with it. Yeah. But the previous shot was like the size of him.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting? The way he was designed, like when he was in his Ultraman form, the way his costume was designed, it reminded me of. You remember in the Mecha Streisand episode of South Park?
Yeah.
Fucking Leonard Maltin or whatever turns into an Ultraman ripoff.
Yes.
Right. He looked more like that than an Ultraman.
It was really funny though. But yeah. There's only 3 more that I want to cover specifically. We were going to talk about Godzilla versus the Wolfman, but again, I just wanted to say the whole time that was playing, I was freaking the fuck out. Oh my god! It's all King Kong versus Godzilla references.
We got all these shots referencing that the Wolfman apparently has like an ancient Egyptian origin in this movie or something.
Either that or Greek. They
showed both.
Because the original werewolf mythology comes from Greek mythology, where it was this guy who was cursed by the gods to have a wolf's head for something that he did against the gods, because that's what Greek mythology is all about, of people fucking over the gods and then the gods fucking them over in return. And apparently the origin of the Wolfman comes from that. I got no indication still of how exactly he grows to Godzilla-type proportions and what leads to his fight with Godzilla, but I'm excited to find out the circumstances.
That's like the fucking origin story of Medusa. Aphrodite's just like, fucking my temple, will you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing that it seems to me is
Greek gods are assholes.
They are.
Say that. Now continue, Bell.
Well, I was just going to say that it seems to be a throwback to really early Showa Godzilla, where there isn't really a reason for the monsters to fight. They just kind of happen to be in the same place at the same time, so they just fucking fight. So it's like you've got this disconnected kind of classic monster werewolf story going on while Godzilla's just going on a rampage. Like, it reminded me of the story of King Kong versus Godzilla, where it's just like Godzilla's going on a rampage, and it happens to be the same time where King Kong comes to Japan for the first time.
I was really impressed.
I know it's not great storytelling, but I like that it's kind of doing that on purpose, seemingly. So I enjoyed that about it as well.
I know this year wasn't the first time we'd ever seen this footage, but this was the first time that we'd ever seen it in this good of quality. I was really impressed with how they were able to pull off that transformation sequence.
It
looks like fucking American Werewolf in London, but without.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Without the budget, so. I don't know how they did it. Like $10 sandwich. Somehow they made that.
And there were a few shots that specifically called back to moments from American Werewolf in London, like when the feet were extending. That's from that movie.
The snout.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So it looked so good.
It did. It basically looked like American Werewolf in London without the polish.
Yeah, it didn't look as good, but it looked really good considering what it is. You know what really bugged me about the 28-minute trailer, though, is that you had this all this really cool stuff that looked just as good as the movies it was homaging, and then you had the stuff of just the people walking around in modern-day Tokyo, and I was like,
I could have done without that.
This clashes with that completely, because it's literally just people walking around with a camera, it doesn't work well with that footage.
I didn't need that preview to be 28 minutes long. Well, first of all, we were sitting... First of all, when we got there to the Kaiju Gaiden panel, there were no chairs available, so we're sitting on like this uncomfortable ledge, and I lean over to Bill and I'm like, if this panel lasts any longer, I'm not going to have an anus anymore.
And when you first said it, I thought you were talking about because it's like all the stuff was so cool, which I guess is also true, but no, it was definitely uncomfortable.
And I said that before the 28-minute trailer.
Yeah, it was a really long fucking panel, because we watched a couple of full movies, like the Chinese General one and a couple of the other ones.
Most of them were like really short. Like the fucking comedy one we were just talking about was like 5 minutes maybe.
Right, but then there was the fucking Godzilla Wolfman one, which is like a half hour.
I don't know why that guy transforms into like a normal-looking wolf man, and then somehow over the course of the movie he becomes a giant white
radiation.
I guess so. Well, that's the thing I don't understand about the story.
It's a separate monster.
Maybe it uses lunar radiation, and all we have to do is trap him in Bill's closet, and that'll keep him from transforming into the werewolf.
It could be a monster, Andres, but that would be fucking stupid.
Yeah, what if like the werewolf itself was just the guy, and then that was like the god that turned him into the werewolf? Maybe, I don't know. But then it's like, why is it fighting Godzilla? Like, for what purpose? If it's this god that's not going to die anyway, why does it feel the need to fight Godzilla? I'm assuming the movie will attempt to explain that.
The big announcement that the guy made after showing...
Oh, yeah, this was awesome. I can't wait.
The guy who directed this movie, I fucking never can remember his name. He has been recently, because he never finished the movie, he sort of stopped it, but then years later when he came to G-Fest, he was sort of blown away by like people's reactions to him, and so he picked up work on it again, and that's why they've been... remastering the footage and making it all look better, and he's been finishing it up. He is now believed that he will have it done by next year, and he actually wants to come back to G-Fest and premiere the footage there.
Yes, and I'm like,
premiere the full movie, and hopefully sell DVDs.
And English subbed as well, so we'll be able to understand the plot in some respect.
Yeah.
Because that was it wasn't subtitled, so it was just like vague context clues based on, alright, so there's a werewolf statue and there's a guy looking at it. I'm assuming that's the werewolf.
The same thing is going on with Shinpei Hayashida's next film. He wants to premiere it.
Let's talk about that a little bit, and then we'll talk about the final one.
Andres, you're a big Raiga fan. Why don't you fucking...
Okay, so I believe
it was... favorite thing ever.
So I believe around the early 2000s, Shinpei Hayashida was such a big fan of the Gamera trilogy that he decided to make his own conclusion to that trilogy by creating the fan film Gamera for Truth. And I believe in 2005, he decided to make an original giant monster movie called Deep Sea Monster Reigo versus Battleship Yamato, which was like this World War II period piece, giant monster meets Jaws sort of.
We watched a little bit of that at last year's G-Fest.
I tried to watch it once because Andres sent me a file through Google Drive. Like it had like these really weird Russian subtitles or something. Like,
yeah, that's why I didn't watch it too, because like it had the weird Russian subtitles.
And so eventually, 4 years later, he made a direct sequel to Reigo with Deep Sea Monster Raiga. And so it was kind of like a more traditional giant monster movie with a lot more emphasis on comedy. And it was basically, overall, it was a really decent film. For the most part, I believe. If you want to know more information about those movies, you can check out my reviews on my channel. So now, finally, was it like 6 years later, I believe, I guess he was inspired by, ever since he first came to G-Fest last year.
Yeah, he was on last year. Andres met him. We were sitting near him when they were talking.
Right.
And he was blown away
by the reception that people had in America of his work and how, I guess, celebrated he was.
And he was selling T-shirts and DVDs, and the man cleaned up.
Yeah. And so I guess he was finally inspired by that. The weird thing was that back in 2009, Deep Sea Monster Raiga versus Lava Beast Oga was teased at the end of the movie back in 2009. However, all it was a simple title card, nothing more, nothing less. And so I've been wondering, when's his third movie going to come out? But I suppose that with his big success, he was, I guess, inspired to finally create Deep Sea Monster Raiga versus Lava Beast Oga, which he also plans to return to G-Fest next year to premiere the movie. And in fact, we got a G-Fest exclusive trailer at the Kaiju Gaiden panel, complete with English captions.
It was hilarious because they were intentionally bad, translations of his own words from Japanese.
Yeah. Even the word kaiju was misspelled for whatever reason.
It was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, it had a
clearly done on purpose. It was fucking hilarious.
I noticed that it had a Y in it. It was like kaiju. Kaiju.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. I don't know. His style, to be completely honest, doesn't really attract me. It seems like the way I've always described it, because somebody requested that I review Deep Sea Monster Raiga once, and I watched the trailer and I was like,
first or second?
The one where it's actually the suit, not the Jaws, not the World War II one.
Okay, that one's like, oh yeah, if you saw the trailer where there's this big J-pop song and all this happy-go-lucky music and everything's all bright and colorful.
All I remember is I saw a trailer and my thought was, I feel like I'm watching a porno parody of something else without the porn. That's what I'm looking at, because it's like that weird kind of tongue-in-cheek style, and the special effects aren't that good, and the acting is terrible, but it's kind of all done on purpose and with a wink and a smile. I don't know, it's fine. I could see myself enjoying it in a certain context, but it doesn't really make me want to watch the movie. But as a G-Fest thing, if we were all together and it was premiering, I would definitely watch it.
And it kind of seems to be heading little more into the serious direction, but that still has a little left. Which is
hilarious because the monster that Raiga fights in this one looks way worse than Raiga himself does.
I guess because I believe it's a puppet as opposed to a suit.
Right. So it's like this volcano lava kind of underground burrowing monster.
Basically,
and they're fighting.
It's the Anguirus to Raiga's Godzilla.
A little bit. Not necessarily that direct, but certainly a little bit. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm just thinking, wow, that Raiga suit is thoroughly okay, and that puppet is terrible. And I'm really distracted by the fact that they both look so differently, and one of them looks way worse than the other one. But I was just really blown away by how good that guy's sense of humor is, and how hilarious those fucking English captions were. Oh, I wish I could remember some more of them, but they were really funny. I was laughing out loud in the theater. Anyway, so let's talk about the last thing, because we're really far in, so we'll talk about this, we'll talk about Hail to the King, we'll talk about we'll briefly cover the giant Gila monster, and then we'll wrap up with the conclusion. So, let's talk about Jet Jaguar Project
M11.
He wasn't going to show that, right?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, that was the thing.
But then he said, fuck it.
That was the
thing.
He was like,
and everybody was freaking the fuck out.
He pulls out
awesome.
He pulls out this flash drive, and I can see light streaming down from heaven. He's like, oh.
It's like Akira Takarada from Godzilla Battle Royale, where he just shows up with the flash drive.
I hold here in my hands the trailer to Project M11, and the whole room just explodes.
We were all freaking out.
Now, was this trailer the project itself, or is there supposedly more to this?
It's
I think this was all there is for it for now. I think
because they could only shoot it over the course of 3 days.
It's kind of like a pitch trailer. This is what we want to do, and then everybody's like, oh my god.
So now that there's been such a public outcry for it, they'll probably make more of it.
Yeah, because I remember Robert Scott Field himself said that he hopes to expand upon it.
Yeah, because I think that's just whatever it's going to be. Which is sad because it doesn't really give you a great sense of what story they're trying to tell. Because it's kind of so for those of you who don't know, it's Robert Scott Field played M11 in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. And this movie is very much so a love letter to the Heisei version of Godzilla. Because it's got the classic G-Force logo, and it's like these military guys building these crazy weapons, and I didn't really get a great sense of what the story was. But it looks like
some people find Jet Jaguar. Now, whether he's from the future, like the same place as M11 is, that remains to be seen, or maybe he's like...
Well, he crashes down from space, doesn't he?
Or does he?
Basically, it seems like M11 came from wherever he came from. He came to Japan, present day Japan.
And he's wearing like Zod's armor from Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's his story?
And he's like, I guess he came here with the specific goal of destroying Jet Jaguar for whatever reason.
Who G-Force is using as a weapon.
Yeah.
They've kind of repurposed him to be a G-Force weapon. And by the way, if this would have been the actual Heisei version of Jet Jaguar, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Because he just shows up, they're like, we're going to turn this into a weapon, because that's what the Heisei Godzilla series was about. They'd introduce something, G-Force will try to use it as a weapon, and then it would blow up in their
Look,
face.
something new that we don't understand. How can we use it to kill things?
I like
exactly.
I like the redesign overall, though I wish the suit had a bit more detail going on.
It's almost too Showa, isn't it? It's almost like it clearly wants to be something else. It clearly wants to be a little bit more realistic and kind of Heisei style.
Yeah, to me it was the face. I wish they kept more Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, it didn't look like that.
It's literally just like the head with the blue eyes, and that's it.
It's like the face...
None of that creepy smile.
It's like the face tried to be more realistic, but everything else was still cartoony.
And again, I can see why they would do that, why you would think that would be your move. Like, all right, we're going to make a more realistic version of Jet Jaguar. We've got to take out the dopey smile. And that was absolutely a smart decision, but it almost made it feel more generic, I think. Yeah. Like, it didn't make it feel as distinguished as its own thing.
Look,
maybe all he needs to do is do that thumbs up, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll be fine. I'm sure watching it over a span of time, I can get used to it. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't as good as I think it could.
I'm a huge Jet Jaguar fan. I'm a big proponent of more Jet Jaguar in my life. I wish that I lived in an alternate universe where they had made a Jet Jaguar TV show as opposed to Zone Fighter. But the best part of that trailer is when...
That's a really sad world that you live in, man, not having that.
The best part of that trailer, and I think the audience reaction agrees with me.
Yeah.
Fucking M11 shows up and just starts tearing shit up. Like...
M11 goes full on Terminator.
Oh, he definitely does.
And they recreate the run.
They recreate the run. I was like, yes.
In Mechagodzilla.
And too bad it wasn't longer. It's only like a second, but
half
like,
a
just
second more like.
It was enough to quote Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original. It made my mouth water.
Yes, nice. I like that. Yeah, it definitely got us all jonesed up. I just want to know why he's wearing that battle armor. Because didn't his armor have the G-Force logo on it as well?
No.
Did it?
I thought it did, but I
oh wait, his armor. I was like, he didn't wear armor in the original movie. No.
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember or not. I was too wrapped up like the rest of the audience, like, oh my god, it's fucking M11 kicking ass.
Since time travel has happened in that continuity, assuming that this is in any way supposed to.
I'm just assuming it's just going to kind of be vaguely like we're doing it in that style, but we're not going to be slaves to that sequence of events.
Right. Anyway, time travel has already happened, so the future M11 came from has already been altered in some ways that we can't really predict. So,
I guess G-Force wasn't a thing in his timeline because Godzilla totally wiped out Japan.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway,
I guess it was, or at least that. Well, no, that was the lie they told, wasn't it? So apparently, in M11's timeline, Japan became this super omega powerful state. So I'm assuming, since Godzilla is still around in the Heisei continuity after that, that the future that now exists probably is worse than that, where it's probably overrun with monsters and everything. They're never really clear about that, exactly what the alternate future was that the Futurians came from. Were they? They were kind of like, this is our live version where Japan doesn't exist anymore. And then we're going to briefly tell you what the real version is, and then we're just going to move on with Godzilla.
But in 91, he mostly like hangs around on the ship, and every now and then the Futurians will send him to like do some shit, and he has that one cool action sequence on the highway when he's running her shit. This fucking movie, he just comes out, and he's just fucking blowing shit up.
He literally falls from space.
Yes.
And then starts blowing shit up.
Yeah. And apparently he fights Jet Jaguar as well. Wouldn't it be cool? And again, this would be kind of a Terminator thing where it's like we find out that Jet Jaguar.
There's going to be another Godzilla 2014, isn't it?
Yes, where it's like Jet Jaguar is the original model for M11, and it's like a weird future past thing.
And then
which I guess would make sense because G-Force is a United Nations organization, and whatever the Futurians worked for in the future.
No. Imagine if they pull it like a Genesis, where it's like M11 shows up and then Jet Jaguar says like,
"Excuse me,
hold on," and then Jet Jaguar shows up. I've been waiting for you.
For a long time.
Genesis.
Yeah, there was a lot of Terminator Genesis parallels going on. Like we even talked about like oh, Arnold's back, so you should come back as well, and he did. So that was awesome. I'm glad we got to see that because I was interested in that.
That was easily the best part. That was easily the most satisfying part of that fucking movie. You don't need any clothes. I've been waiting for you.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about Genesis now. Okay. I was like, when did Robert Scott Field not need clothes in that trailer?
Didn't we get like a 2-second shot of him and Jet Jaguar actually like lunging at each other or something?
Yeah, that was towards the end. I think
and at the very end, we see giant Jet Jaguar.
Yes.
All right.
What if we get giant M11?
I hope so.
He probably has a mech.
Or he learns how to reprogram himself to grow large.
Yeah, just like Jet Jaguar did. It'll make perfect sense, just like it did in Godzilla vs. Megalon.
That
way we won't have
he becomes Mecha 11.
Alright, so we are crazy far in, so let's wrap up with the last couple things we're going to talk about. Briefly, let's talk about one of the other movies we watched this weekend. Let's talk about the Giant Gila Monster remake. What a fucking joy that was to walk in.
That was such a joy, and I just want to say the part where I fanboyed the most was when he starts singing the song where it says the Lord started laughing, where he starts singing that song, and they all start singing because that's directly from the original movie.
Yeah, the sequence of events and when he sings it are different, but
they're different. But I was like, as soon as he pulled out that guitar and started strumming it, the person next to me was getting it too. I looked over at him, he looked over at me. It was like a perfect moment. I was like, is he going to start singing the song? He's like, I think he is. And then all of a sudden, the first lyrics came out, and him and I looked at each other like, oh my god, they're totally doing the song.
Song!
Oh,
no, that was awesome.
It was so funny. To me, that's how you're supposed to homage a 50 movies if you're going to do it comedy-wise. Just do it like that.
It was the fucking...
Embrace the fucking ridiculousness of it and just run with it. Yeah.
It just totally embraced it. And it was like, it didn't matter that everything looked like shit in that.
No, it really didn't, because in the original movie, everything looked like shit.
Well, so, it didn't matter, because it was like, they're self-aware about it. Like, the Gila Monster itself didn't look good. It did not, it looked about on the level of a sci-fi original movie. But they were like, yeah, we know that it looks like that, but it's fine because we're not really trying to impress anybody with our special effects. We're trying to dazzle people with how faithful we're being to the original. The thing that really bugged me, and this is where I think a big-budget movie like this would be better, is that it didn't feel like it really was set in the 50s, because every time they were on a set and they were pretending it was the 50s, I was like, it's not the 50s, because it looks like a modern-day living room.
Well, yeah. Well, that was stuff that they clearly had no control over and shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's why I will never do a period piece.
Yeah, you can't really do it on that low of a budget. They do their best. They got a bunch of period cars and everything, and everybody's wearing
which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But they couldn't do it like with the police station. It looked like a modern-day police station.
Yeah.
I was just looking for, I'm looking for a cell phone. I'm looking for a flat screen TV. I was just scanning for that because I could, see that was really something they were terrified was going to happen.
At least they were able to get all classic cars.
Yeah, again, that's something that's the biggest thing they did.
No, the one that bugged me was that there was a gun in that guy's gun closet.
I love that guy.
That was clearly a model from the 1970s, and I was like,
yep.
Nope.
Those guns also didn't look that good. They all looked really
No,
fake.
they were all clearly airsoft guns.
Yeah, they looked really fake. And also there was that weird, whenever, you want to make a set look more, complete in a low-budget movie, you just put a flag up in the back of the set. There's just an American flag just in the back of the set, and I'm just I kind of vibe the guy would do that. I got a right to bear arms, and he's just got an American flag up there.
Oh, he's constantly drinking, pulls up that 30 caliber submachine gun, and just fucking starts wasting shit on that.
Didn't he start shooting at it with shooting with one arm, and he's just drinking with the other? That was great.
I was just like, this guy's my new favorite Burgunner. This is Burgunner right there.
Yep. Absolutely.
That was a total treat. I was glad that we were able to see that.
Yeah, we didn't
totally
look for that movie.
unexpected. Because,
yeah, totally unexpected. Yeah.
Because what we were actually doing was we went to that same movie theater that we saw the Kaiju Gaiden panel, and we were waiting for Hail to the King to start, the Kaiju Cast Godzilla documentary. And we got there earlier because the previous day we couldn't get seats because of how crowded it was. So smartly, well done to everybody for doing this. We got there like half hour early, and we were able to actually get seats this time. So thank God we did that.
Yes. God, if I had to sit through that thing on that fucking ledge again.
Because again, it's like a feature-length documentary. So thank God we sat down. But speaking of that, boys, why don't we get into Hail to the King? Because again, it's something we were going to do a separate video on, but we didn't get the chance. So let's talk about Hail to the King: 60 Years of Destruction. Independent documentary.
Okay, so I believe this was I believe this was kickstarted first, like a year ago.
It was on Kickstarter. I remember. I remember they were talking about it at last G-Fest. It was a huge thing at last G-Fest, and then it was weird because it was called the 60 Years of Godzilla, but it didn't come out until after 60 Years of Godzilla had
right.
passed.
Yeah. What's interesting is I had no idea what the guy from Kaiju Cast looked like, because there were several Kaiju Cast based panels last year, but we avoided all of them.
Because we had like this weird, totally unfounded,
I thought there was somebody else. I thought Kaiju Cast was something else and not this guy. So I felt really bad because I don't like the people that I thought he was.
Yeah. We when we finally saw him, I was like, oh, that seems like a really cool guy.
He was at a couple panels. We were at the 50th anniversary Gamera panel, the Kaiju-sized Avengers panel, and then of course the Hail to the King panel.
His announcer voice.
Oh, he was perfect for that. Super, super nice guy, it seems like. Super cool, super informative and everything. So he was a perfect choice to host a documentary like that. And he was pretty great at it. But what was everybody's take on the documentary?
I really liked it. It felt like there was a lot of definitely a lot of passion behind it. Very well produced. I like the structure for the most part, where it's like, here's my adventure in Japan, here's me going from point A to point B to point C. Definitely got like a wide.
Well, the interviews were done.
Definitely, I feel like we got a decent idea. Go ahead, Adam.
You're cutting up a lot, Andres. The interviews were done like a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically like a bunch of mini episodes of Kaiju Cast. I've never listened to the Kaiju Cast, so I don't know how long their podcasts generally are.
I've been listening to them more now that I'm aware of them. So.
Well, it's like when we recorded that fucking thing up in the room talking about G-Fan's Death Game, it was as if somebody had filmed that and made it part of a documentary. Like that's what it felt like.
They were all like super casual conversations. I mean, except for the when he was talking about Akira Kubo, Akira Takarada,
which was the best part of that fucking film.
Oh, definitely was my favorite part.
It was so hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like that
the guy on the set of Seven Samurai. The guy
I
on the set of Seven Samurai, he's like, I don't want to work with Akira Kurosawa. Fuck that guy. I want to work with Godzilla.
Yeah, like, I want to be in a Godzilla movie. And Akira Kurosawa was like, no. And he's like, yes. He's like, all right, fine.
Go be fine.
I remember like how he learned about the name of Godzilla. He was talking about how he learned the name of Godzilla, and he's like, gorilla whale? And then he looks at it like, wait a minute, this isn't a gorilla whale, it's a dinosaur. Now I want to be in the movie.
Dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's a dinosaur.
Well, I love how the only reason Kurosawa allowed him, because apparently he had to like run projects he wanted to do by Kurosawa for some reason. The only reason he allowed him to do it was because Ishiro Honda was directing it.
Yeah.
And they were besties.
Yeah, and they were bros, so it was
they were
cool.
totally fucking.
Sure.
Brokeback Fuji. I also really liked the documentary, but I was getting my biggest problem with it was that it felt super directionless.
Yeah, it did.
I got what they were saying.
Now we're gonna shop for some toys, and now we're gonna go to Toho Studios, and now I'm gonna talk to people in a restaurant.
it's kind of a weird documentary because you might be a little bit kind of misled by the title, thinking it might be like a retrospective history of like.
That's what I thought it was going to be, and that's why I didn't want to go to it for that reason, because I was like, it's just going to be another one of those retrospectives. I know the history. I know it.
Yeah, with Godzilla, it's like, listen, we all know how all the eras went down, but. And it's not that way at all. What it's about is actually way more interesting than that. It's about, all right, I want to find out what Japan's feelings towards this genre are now, especially after the 60th anniversary of Godzilla and after this big budget American version has come out and has been successful. What's their take on it? And that was definitely the most interesting part about the film.
He's talking to these Japanese people, and
he's
like, well, I prefer when the effects are done in this certain way, and they're like, we love it all. Stop complaining.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like parts about it. Like, he really didn't, you can tell that Kyle was not that big of a fan of Godzilla 14, but he's trying so hard to be nice about it. But he was like, some parts I liked more than others. And the people he was interviewing who was like, we loved it.
It was great. Stop nitpicking. He's like, all right, fine. No, that was funny.
I think this documentary...
Like Bill. I think like you were talking before, Bill, where it's like you felt. No, it's the thing is then now we're dealing with lag here.
Oh, great!
We always get
favorite.
We always get lag.
Thank God we're almost done, because otherwise it'd be fucked.
It always happens like in the last quarter of the podcast, like lag starts happening. I don't understand.
Oh, this is going to be super annoying because now I'm going to have to cut out the silence, but I guess I'll have to do it.
So, Andres, how's the weather out there on the wet coast?
Well, Tom.
It sucks.
We have that lag though now where it's like, so what's going on over at the courthouse? And it's like,
and you just see. I love how they cut to the reporter, and you just see him standing there waiting to hear the question.
To go back to this documentary, I believe they could have cut it by 15 minutes, and it would have been.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The Hayashia interview and the one at the end where he's talking to those people.
Shinpei Hayashida's was way too long.
Both of those interviews could have been cut down. I would have kept the one with all the actors the same length it was, because that was all...
that was perfect. That was hilarious.
It was all great, fast.
It was also super informative, and it was just cool to see them, talk to each other, to see fucking Akira Takarada just chatting with Akira Kubo. That was awesome.
Also, did Hayashia look different to you than he did last year? I saw him on the screen, and I was like, I don't remember him looking like that.
I don't remember him having a mustache.
I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, he must have grown that mustache in the interim, because I don't remember that either. Oh, yep. Andres is informing me now that Hayashia did indeed have a mustache this year.
Okay. I thought so. And he was also wearing a Hawaiian shirt. So
this just in from our West Coast correspondent.
Yeah, we have to read Andres' text now, so...
Yay!
All right.
My
favorite.
All right, so just in an effort to endure this as painlessly as possible.
You just said yay.
All right.
Oh my God.
So, it's just I just thought it was too long, and also to get back to my point earlier. So again, I really like that initial premise of, all right, we're going to talk about how Japan feels about this genre now, but I felt like there was no resolution that hadn't already been established prior to that.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
It was super just yay, still a place for it, but it's not super popular anymore, but it's got a promising future if we keep it all alive, and if you believe in the heart of the cards, and if friendship is magic.
It was kind of depressing at points, because I was like, oh my God, it's a dying genre over there.
It really, really is, and I felt like the resolution didn't reflect that enough. I felt like it could have gone farther, or could have pulled back a little bit. I feel like it was just a little bit unbalanced. But again, it's an independent documentary, so it doesn't really have that kind of polished, this is a story in and of itself kind of feel.
Well, I mean, that landscape could always change. I mean, we've got the new Godzilla movie coming out next year. We got whatever the fuck this Ultraman thing's going to be.
Our correspondent from the West Coast says, I wish the initial premise was better established at the beginning. Rather, it feels like it begins with him going on vacation to celebrate Godzilla.
Meanwhile, on the helicarrier, Dum Dum Dugan,
Dum Dum Dugan prepares to launch his super special missile at Godzilla.
And I just smudged my glasses like there's no tomorrow.
You can't shoot Godzilla. The little whiny kid that.
Oh, Rob Takahashi. What a great character. Why haven't they put him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet?
My favorite human character. Also, did you think that the film could have benefited by using actual Godzilla footage to give better context to the audience?
Yeah, I was expecting some stock footage.
Well, they couldn't, though, because they didn't have the rights.
Yeah, they couldn't, yeah.
No, they absolutely couldn't have. I was expecting them to not use any official Godzilla footage. Like, I'm shocked that they even, like, had the camera at points where you could kind of see footage of Ultraman fights in the background when they were at that bar.
But wasn't it non-profit? Yeah, but YouTube don't know the difference.
Neither does fucking Toho.
Because they put it on
Neither does fucking Toho. Your beer is kind of named after Godzilla, kind of, sort of. We're going to sue you.
No, I think because it was on Kickstarter and because they were trying to be in... I mean, you know what? I'm sure they didn't use it because they weren't sure what they were going to do with it after it came out and after it was finished. Like, if they were going to actually release it officially, which I'm not sure if they are. So in order to do that, they probably didn't want to use footage in order to prevent any copyright issues with Toho, because we all know how hard they can be with that shit. So I'm sure that was the reasoning. I didn't mind, because again...
I'm surprised we didn't at least get some, like, stock footage of, like, nuclear destruction at the beginning. You always get that with these documentaries, it seems.
Didn't we?
I don't remember.
Maybe we didn't. I don't even know if he really got into Godzilla's origins anyway. Maybe there was a little bit of that when they were talking to Akira Takarada. He got into where he was like, it all came out of...
I don't remember if we did or not.
Usually
with documentaries like this, there's like a moment where even if they're not talking about the origins, they'll like just pay lip service to the fact that like the genre arose out of blah, 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 and you'll get like the stock footage of fucking...
Yeah, I don't think they did that, but there wasn't a lot of cutaway narration footage that wasn't just him walking around Japan.
It's almost like he's showing you a slideshow of his vacation.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Which makes it sound really boring because everyone hates to see slideshows of other people's vacations.
Well, what I feel like what he did is kind of like a more detailed version of what we're doing right now, where it's like you kind of sit down after the vacation is over and you explain to the audience what you took away from it. So I feel like that's kind of what they did. So I feel like on that level it was definitely cool, but again, it doesn't really work great as a really comprehensive documentary on the public consciousness of this genre. It only kind of scratches the surface of it. But it was really entertaining and really kind of cool to see. And it was definitely good. It just wasn't it wasn't up to the caliber that I kind of expected from it. But I think that was a little bit unfair on my part because I didn't know really much about it going in.
I wish maybe they had been able to look around at Toho Studios a bit more. Like, they go there...
Yeah, they just walked outside and they were like, look, there's the Godzilla statue. Time to go home.
They look at the mural on the side of the building, and then they walk down to where the statue is, and they, like, take selfies with it or whatever. And that's about it.
How did they get the movie studio, or whatever, wherever they were, to film with Akira Takarada, Akira Kubo, and all the Godzilla actors? Where were they?
I have no idea.
It looks like a talk show.
Yeah, it almost looks like a TV set or something.
I thought maybe that Toho had sponsored some
I guess
TV special.
I guess that was part of
where they were going to do that, but I don't think Toho had anything to do with this.
Well, I don't know how much money they
consent whatsoever.
I don't know how much money they raised on Kickstarter for this thing, but if they raised,
it looked pretty professional, and
they raised enough money with their Kickstarter, they could have very easily rented a space and
True. I'm not sure how much they actually got from that, but it was certainly more professional than what because Shinbei Ishida, like, they were just talking to him in his house.
Yeah.
And then the stuff at the Ultraman bar was just like something we would record when we were out to dinner or whatever.
That was a really cool bar.
Oh God, yeah. That's something I'd love to go to Japan for. Is like you could stay at the Godzilla hotel and then go to the Ultraman bar.
I would eat there.
Andres just posted the Kickstarter page. Let's find out how much they got.
Yes. Let's look at this.
I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but I'm actually falling asleep.
No, Adam, I'm totally with you. We got to wrap this up. This went way longer than I expected.
239 backers pledged $19,435.
Fuck.
That's not small potatoes. That is not small potatoes.
Well, at least the money here was better used than the one from fucking
The one that bought the
Channel
Top Four
Awesome.
Top Shot.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely better than
I thought you were talking about the guy who bought a PSP.
Oh, I remember that too. The fucking Godzilla Zero or shit.
At least that,
Alright,
that was
so-
much less money than that.
Alright, so we're all on our last legs, so I say we start to wrap
Bill,
this up.
did we ever explain to the people why there was no commentary?
Yes.
We did? Okay, good.
Yeah, we covered that. Alright, so here's the thing. Andres, I need you to speak, and I will give you silence around your speech so I can cut it to sound more natural. I want everybody to give their overall recommendation for Hail to the King. So somebody, Andres, why don't you start off? We'll give you a little bit of silence around your speech, and then we'll all go. Okay? So Andres, what's your recommendation for Hail to the King?
I would definitely give a solid recommendation to check it out, especially when it's free and available on YouTube. So you can check it out right now. Especially great for longtime Godzilla fans, especially if you want to get a good idea as to how Godzilla is perceived in his own country. And it's really nice just to see these actors, see them interact with each other, see independent filmmakers such as Hayashida, his take on the kaiju genre, as well as seeing the young other independent people who were working on those costumes and such, how the Godzilla series has inspired them to create their own craft based on the works of Tsuburaya and company. So yeah, it definitely gives a lot of different aspects on the kaiju genre in Japan, so I would definitely give it a solid recommendation just for that.
I completely agree. So I'm gonna use Andres's as my recommendation as well. Dylan and Adam, what are your recommendations?
Yeah, what he just said. It's well made. It's informative. There's some great interviews in there. I have minor complaints. I think some of it could have been cut down a little bit, and I wish that they had gotten to do more in terms of just like sightseeing. But yeah, overall it was great. Go watch it.
I would have cut out that kind of bullshit that we had to sit through at the very beginning of the film, where it's like, this is what we're trying to do. And I would have saved that for the last bit of the film. I just would have treated it as, hey, let's go to Japan. I would have just treated it like that. So on second viewing,
just a spur of the moment decision. Just like, let's go to Japan.
That should be the name of the documentary. Hey, let's go to Japan.
On second viewing, I liked it a lot less. I mean, I still liked it, but I mean, it had a lot of problems in terms of its pacing. But for the most part, I agree with Andres. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, so. That's all the stuff I have written down to cover, and I think that is we've absolutely sucked dry everything we could possibly talk about for this year's G-Fest. And when I say that, I know it's completely wrong, because there's probably stuff we're forgetting. But we'll bring it up on future podcasts and everything, so I'd just like to leave everybody with this, in terms of wrapping up the SOS Roadtrip to G-Fest 22. On our last morning there, we left G-Fest Monday morning around 8:30 in the morning. We got out of the hotel. We turned on the TV. We woke up a little bit later than we planned to. And we were actually kind of surprised to see that the in-house Tokusatsu channel was still playing stuff and was still running. And we were like, holy shit, awesome, there's still stuff going on. So we put that channel on, and they were playing something Ultraman related. I don't remember what it was, but it was some Ultraman thing.
It was
the original Ultraman.
Yeah. I don't remember what episode it is.
Oh, was it where Hayato was on vacation?
Yeah, with, what's in it, Birdon or something? No, it was Hydra. The monster's name was Hydra. It was like this bird monster.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we were watching that, and we're all just like, we're all having a good time, as we had been doing all weekend, watching all that stuff that was on that channel. We were all laughing and having a good time and talking about shit. And in the midst of it playing, about 10 minutes into it, it just turns off.
No, we see the mouse.
Right, you see the mouse, because all they're doing is they're just showing what's going on a computer screen in every TV in the hotel. And you see the mouse come up, and we're all like, hey, computer guy, get the fuck out of here, we're still watching Ultraman. And then he just fucking presses the X button, and we're just like, whoa, shit.
That is the official moment that G-Fest ended.
Yeah, we were there for the very last second of G-Fest. We were there where G-Fest died that day.
Because, like, by Monday, almost everything was cleared out.
Oh, yeah.
When we got out of that hotel, everything was gone.
We saw
all gone.
We saw a couple of the people, like, down in the lobby, like, leaving, and, like, they all looked like stragglers, because all of a sudden you went from the day before the hotel being full of Godzilla fans to now there's, like, all these normal people.
Yeah, well, there were like business people walking around the different ballrooms, and I was like, this is so weird that this is what this looks like now. So we stayed till the bitter end this year, and it was just so depressing just seeing that screen go off and the computer sign off. And then it just went back to that shitty hotel advertisements that they usually run.
Oh, God, their usual in-house channel is fucking awful.
What I really wished was, like, before they played that episode of Ultraman, they played Gamera the Brave, and I really wish that would have been the last program they played, because that would have seemed so appropriate given this entire it's like it's the
episode.
It's like the last Gamera movie to celebrate Gamera's 50th anniversary on the last, like, hour of G-Fest. I feel like it would have been, like, so appropriate to have that film be the last one as opposed to just a random episode and then to cut it off halfway through.
It was just I assumed that they got more time than they thought, and they just decided to start playing that episode until whenever they ran out, and then it just happened to be in the middle of that episode, so I'm assuming that was...
Or maybe the guy was like, oh shit, I forgot!
I mean, obviously last year we left a day earlier than we did this year, so we didn't get to see that happen. And when that TV channel just shuts off, it's like, my God, I think they're telling us to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's like, all right, guys, leave. You're done. Your little stupid geek convention is over. And with that said, that is it, folks, for this year's SOS Roadtrip to G-Fest. G-Fest 22, our second time heading over to Chicago, and my second time going on a road trip with my boys. And I just wanted to say again, thank you so much to you guys for joining me for this trip. It was really, really special and super fun, and just it always just really perks me up. It's always a great experience, and also just always, I don't know, it's always just so cool to feel that sense of camaraderie with other people, and just get something massive done. I mean, driving from Long Island to Chicago in one day is no small feat. So sharing that with you guys is always really, really special, and it was this year as well. So just thank you so much to you guys for being there with me. It was a ton of fun.
You're welcome. And it's crazy to think how, like, whenever you share this stuff, where you like, whenever you tell anybody, it's like, oh, I'm going to be driving from Long Island to Chicago, they'll say, wow, that's crazy. And
you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, basically. It's like, why would you do that? And it's weird. It's like, not only have we done this, but now we've done this twice. So it's like, now we've really become pros at, like, cross-country style driving.
Well, if you buy the scientific method, we got to do it one more time before we can fully prove that we're capable. That we can officially put our big boy pants on.
Yes, we have become pros at traveling between two very specific locations.
Now that we're men,
we can do anything.
Now that we're men. And with that said, everybody, I think that's going to do it for this SOS Network miniseries of our road trip to G-Fest 22. Thank you very much for joining us on this crazy journey, and for following all the videos, and for commenting and liking, and anything else you happen to do. So thank you so much. So with all that said, let's wrap this up. Until next time, everyone, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm Adam Noyce-Devayan Productions.
I'm Super DM64.
And I'm Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaijin Noir. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly the way it's been for G-Fest 22.
Evil!
Evil!
Evil!